This young man was born with a special talent for music. By chance, an old man discovered his fateful relationship with the guitar. However, his father strongly objected. His father did not want him to pursue an artistic career. The conflict between father and son became increasingly tense. In a fit of anger, Eun-jeol almost broke his guitar. At that moment, the moon in the sky suddenly split into two halves. Behind Eun-jeol appeared a strange musical instrument store. With confusion and curiosity, he walked inside. The owner was immediately attracted to the guitar as soon as he saw it. He offered to buy it back at a very high price. He also reminded Eun-jeol that if he changed his mind, he should come back here, and Eun-jeol absolutely must not lose the receipt. Otherwise, things would be very troublesome. Eun-jeol agreed and was about to open the door and go home, but he suddenly realized that the night had turned into day. The time on the newspaper showed that it was the 1995. Suddenly, someone on the side of the road called Eun-jeol Dong-jin. What was even more surprising was that this person was Eun-jeol's father, but Eun-jeol had always thought that his father was deaf from birth. But the truth was not like that. It turned out that Eun-jeol grew up in a deaf family. His older brother loved him very much. His father and mother also worked very hard. Only Eun-jeol could speak and hear. Every weekend, he and his brother went to the restaurant that his parents ran at the construction site to help them. Eun-jeol was good at speaking, so he was loved by many people there. Eun-jeol took on the role of interpreter for his mother. He helped his mother warn the supplier about the delivery of spoiled ingredients. That night, Eun-jeol was awakened by the noise outside. He didn't know when it started snowing. His mother asked him why he hadn't slept yet. Eun-jeol told his mother that he was awakened by the sound of falling snow. It turned out, his mother thought the snow fell very quietly. She didn't know what kind of sound it was. Eun-jeol described it as sounding like clothes drying in the sun. It was a sound that made people feel warm. At this time, the father woke up and suggested that the family make a snowman together. After that, the four of them played in the construction site. Eun-jeol suddenly heard the sound of scaffolding about to collapse. At that time, his brother was standing right below. Eun-jeol tried to run to save his brother, but he slipped and fell to the ground. Eun-jeol called for help from his parents, but they didn't hear anything. Eun-jeol used a laser to attract their attention. Fortunately, the father sensed the danger. He immediately ran to save his son. After a while, the mother was still scared and emphasized that it was dangerous near the construction site. At this time, Eun-jeol asked his father a question that he regretted. He asked if both he and his brother were in danger, who would his father save first? The father answered in a way that no one could have predicted. Soon, Eun-jeol's family saved up enough money. They rented a room in the basement of the city. They were happy with that. The landlord was friendly and said that the rent was very cheap. However, the real reason was that Eun-jeol's relatives were deaf, so the neighbors wouldn't be bothered. Eun-jeol didn't translate the words to his parents. He just greeted the landlord and moved his things into the house. The landlord found out that Eun-jeol had won many awards, so she contacted her son. After Eun-jeol's family finished cleaning the house, the father told his children that from now on, their parents would often come home late. If anything happened to the two sons, they were to call their parents immediately. After sunset, Eun-jeol had to stay home with his brother. Just then, the doorbell rang. It was Bong-ho. It turned out that the landlord wanted her son to be friends with Eun-jeol. Eun-jeol wanted to bring her brother along, but that offer was rejected by Bong-ho. Eun-jeol had just moved here, and he had already made friends. That was a good thing. When the kids were passing by the musical instrument store, Bong-ho told Eun-jeol to stay away from there because they heard that the store owner was a weirdo who ate children. He was wearing a criminal monitoring anklet. Suddenly, the store owner came out, scaring the kids, and they quickly left. Then the kids went to the game store together. At this time, their dad called Eun-jeol to tell him to go home with his brother so their parents could go out to work. As soon as Eun-jeol left, the kids immediately showed their hatred for him. It turned out that Bong-ho was the class president. He wanted to get close to Eun-jeol because of tomorrow's test. He wanted Eun-jeol to change the names of the two people on the test. Bong-ho even used the name of the landlord's son to threaten that if Eun-jeol didn't do as he said, his whole family would be kicked out of the house. The next day, Eun-jeol decided not to cheat, so he was bullied by Bong-ho's group. From then on, the two of them had a conflict with each other. On the way home, Eun-jeol sat in front of the musical instrument store and cried. Eun-jeol sat on a chair by the door and cried. The store owner immediately noticed Eun-jeol, so he threw Eun-jeol a towel. Then he invited Eun-jeol inside for a cup of hot coffee. If Eun-jeol went home like this, he would make his parents worry. This was an ancient-looking musical instrument store. Each item seemed to have its own story. As soon as the store owner entered, he rolled up his pants to prove that the rumor was false. house. The reason Eunjil cried was not because he was bullied, but because of the song that had just played in the store. The owner told Eunjil to go home and tell his parents everything. However, Eunjil understood that if a deaf person's child did something wrong, people would definitely blame their parents. The shop owner was a little surprised when he heard this. Before Eunjil left, the shop owner asked him if he wanted to learn to play the guitar. If Eunjil wanted to play the song himself, as long as he could play it well, his life would change. From then on, Eunjil began to diligently practice his knowledge of music. He also taught Eunjil many lessons about life. The shop owner said that Eunjil's feelings towards the musical instrument would be the same as the instrument's feelings towards him. Eunjil realized the meaning behind that statement. The boy took the initiative to meet the landlord. He asked about the law protecting tenants. Is it true that the landlord cannot evict the tenant while the contract is still in effect? This question made Bongho nervous. Thanks to Eunjil's constant practice, he improved very quickly. That day, the shop owner gave Eunjil an unfinished piece of music. He said that if Eunjil listened and created a zip guitar, he would give Eunjil the guitar she wanted. On the way home, Eunjil saw Bongho being punished by his mother. Eunjil took Bongho's coat and returned home. At that time, his parents had to go to negotiate a contract. His mother told Eunjil that his brother had a fever and was sleeping. At 7 o'clock, Eunjil remembered to wake his brother up and remind him to take his fever medicine. The two of them were not allowed to run outside. After Eunjil checked his brother's condition, he started making the music that Bray sang. The shop owner gave him. Eunjil was completely immersed in the world of music. He did not hear Bongho knocking loudly on the door. Coincidentally, a mailman passed by and dropped his cigarette butt on the ground. Bongho saw this and kicked it into Eunjil's house. After Eunjil finished making the music, he thought that there was still time, so he ran to find the owner. As soon as Eunjil left, the curtain behind him caught fire. On the way, Eunjil called the store owner, but no one answered. When he arrived at the store, he found that the lights inside were off. Eunjil knocked on the door, but no one answered. At the same time, the firefighters surrounded Eunjil's house. The neighbors were screaming because there were children in the house. When Eunjil's parents arrived, their eldest son had already been rescued. However, the firefighters said that no one was inside. The homeowner tried to stop him, but Eunjil's father was still worried. He still insisted on rushing into the fire. When he entered his son's room, he was crushed by a burning bookshelf. At this time, Eunjil returned and saw that his house was on fire. His mother worriedly said that his father had gone in to save him. This reminded Eunjil of his previous question. His father firmly answered that he would save Eunjil first. He would try to save the whole family, but one person's strength could not do that. So if his father saved Eunjil first, then Eunjil would definitely run out and call for help, because Eunjil was the voice that connected the family to the outside world. When Eunjil thought about this, he was extremely heartbroken. Fortunately, the fire department rescued him in time. They successfully brought the father out. The neighbors around talked. They wondered why the house caught fire while Eunjil's brother was sleeping. The landlady noticed that her son was a little scared. He was even so scared that he peed his pants. The next day, the landlady went to the hospital and forced Eunjil's family to take responsibility for the fire. Not only did she kick them out, but she also refused to return the deposit. Eunjil stood outside the door and heard everything. He felt very guilty. On the day of moving, Eunjil saw the guitar on the side of the road. He asked his father to wait for him because he wanted to say goodbye to his friend. But when Eunjil went to the musical instrument store, he saw a white lantern hanging in front of the store. This meant that the store owner had passed away. At this time, Eunjil met a little girl on her way to a funeral. When Eunjil's family drove past the musical instrument store, the lantern suddenly flew up, as if the owner was saying goodbye to Eunjil. 6 years passed quickly. Eunjil's older brother became a taekwondo athlete. Recently, Eunho got a new girlfriend. She was an art student majoring in cello and was also deaf. However, Eunjil knew that his brother was lying, maybe because Eunho loved himself so much. He wanted to find someone who had something in common with him. That night, Eunjil's father got drunk and told Eunjil that the people who looked down on him 6 years ago were now very jealous of him, because in the future, his eldest son would be a member of the national taekwondo team. His second son was the best student in the whole school. In the future, his son would become a doctor. Eunjil was about to say something, but his father grabbed his hand. His father thanked Eunjil very much, because without Eunjil, his father would not have been treated like this. Even though the heavens had taken away his father's voice, he had two very talented sons. Eunjil hugged his father tightly with emotion, but he did not seem happy. At night, when Eunjil was reviewing his lessons, he kept remembering what his father had said. Eunjil took out a guitar pick from the pencil case. Characters on it were drawn for him by the shop owner. Those characters were called coda. It meant to prepare yourself for the song to have a happy ending. The shop owner thought that Eunjil was also a coda sign. Because he was the only healthy child in the family, he used his words and hands to connect sound to the world of silence. Sometimes Eunjil would connect through music. Eunjil often performed in the square with his face covered. It seemed like this was the only way for him to forget his worries. Eunjil had a natural talent for guitar, and he was noticed by the band Spinai. They wanted Eunjil to be the band's guitarist. At first, Eunjil refused the offer because he didn't want to disappoint his family's expectations. Eunjil even thought about giving up music, but when Eunjil heard Spinai's songs, he changed his mind. The band's first performance was well received by many people. Everyone paid attention to the masked man playing the guitar. They were curious about his face. Spinai quickly caught the attention of Maju, the so-called Midas king of the Korean entertainment industry. As long as he touched it, whether it was a song, a record, or a singer, it would definitely be a success. Just as Eunjil was getting closer to his dream, his father got into a traffic accident. It turned out that the old landlord's car crashed into his father's warehouse. Luckily, Eunjil's father dodged in time, so he wasn't seriously injured, but he clearly saw that the driver wasn't the landlady, but Bong Ho. The landlady got angry when she heard that. She tried to prove that she was the driver. She even thought that Eunjil's father was trying to pick a fight with her. After gathering enough evidence, Eunjil's father brought up what happened last year. He said that she was still the same as last year. Even though she knew the truth about the fire, she still pretended that nothing happened. She even had the heart to blame Eunjil's entire family. She was the one who made Bong Ho like this. That night, Eunjil and his father sat in the bar. Eunjil immediately asked why his father didn't just let today's incident go. After all, the landlady had said that she would compensate for the furniture and hospital bills, but Eunjil's father didn't want to endure it like last year. Was it because he couldn't speak? Was it because he couldn't speak that he had to endure everything? If Eunjil's father let today's incident go, Bong Ho wouldn't be happier. If Eunjil's father kept quiet, his family wouldn't be happier either. On the contrary, Eunjil's father felt sorry for his wife and children because they had suffered humiliation for so many years. Eunjil's father should have been angry and fought to the end that it was not his children's fault. The next day, Eunjil wanted to leave the Spinai band, so he and the band members had a big argument about this. At this time, Eunjil told the truth that he almost harmed his family because of music. Everyone was silent when they heard that. Eunjil thought he had forgotten, but it turned out that he had not. Everything was still clearly present like a scar. So before it was too late, he wanted to return to where he belonged. Although a senior felt sorry, he promised to wait for Eunjil to return. At this time, Eunjil's mother discovered that Eunjil's academic performance had declined. Many times, she saw him not in the study room, but she did not take the initiative to ask. She wanted her son to tell her himself. She also did not want her husband to know, because for Eunjil's father, Eunjil was happiness and pride. When he heard this, he felt a little suffocated. Eunjil returned to the old musical instruments store. Here, he coincidentally met the current owner. It turned out that year when Eunjil was crying, this owner was the one who brought the little girl to the funeral. The woman invited Eunjil into the house. Unexpectedly, before leaving, the store owner left him a relic. It was the guitar that Eunjil loved the most. The owner's soul seemed to appear next to Eunjil. He didn't know which way to choose in life. The owner advised him to try tossing a coin. Eunjil thought of the stage as a coin and tried tossing it. This sentence awakened Eunjil. Thanks to this sentence, he decided to return to Spinai. He also never expected that the woman who gave him the guitar was Se-kyung. She was his father's former goddess. That year, Ji Chang, Eunjil's father, fell in love with Se-kyung at first sight. However, there is always a big gap between the poor boy and the rich girl. Se-kyung is a cello major in the music department of the art high school. Every day, the school gate is always full of people pursuing her, but Se-kyung does not like any any of them. Her family is famous for being rich. Most importantly, she already has a boyfriend. The two families have also discussed it, so it can be considered that Se-kyung is engaged. Her boyfriend is both handsome and rich. He studies medicine and plays in a band. It can be said that Ji-chang has no advantage at all. However, he still does not give up. He even sneaks into the party. Se-kyung advises Ji-chang not to waste his life and to cherish his time. If Ji-chang still hangs around here, others will think he is a stalker. Ji-chang wants to explain, but Se-kyung says he hasn't zipped up his pants. Ji-chang runs away embarrassed. However, he cannot forget her. Suddenly, Ban-san's voice rings out in the room. Ji-chan gets sadder and sadder as he listens. He lamented that he had nothing. Ban-san immediately realized that Ji-chan had fallen in love. Ji-chang was just a man without money and power, but if he wanted to conquer the world and beauties, the only way was to join a band. At the same time, Chung-ae was tripped by a classmate, so she accidentally spilled a bucket of water on Se-kyung. However, Chung-ae left without saying a word. A moment later, she gave Se-kyung a new shirt. This shirt happened to be the same as Ji-chang's shirt, which was the band shirt. At this time in the real world, Eun-jeol's father came to see his performance. He thought that Eun-jeol had been studying hard and was being frivolous, but Eun-jeol spoke his mind. He didn't want to be his father's trophy anymore. Eun-jeol wasn't an interpreter either. He wanted to live for himself. After Eun-jeol finished speaking, he ran out of the bar. The more he thought about it, the sadder he became. Just as he was about to smash the guitar, the moon in the sky suddenly turned into two. Behind Eun-jeol, a musical instrument store suddenly appeared. He went in and sold his guitar to the owner. But when Eun-jeol walked out, he saw that the night had turned into morning. The time displayed on the newspaper was 1995. At this moment, someone called Eun-jeol Dong-jin. That person also called his friend Ma-ju. This person was Ji-chang, Eun-jeol's father. It turned out that in 1995, after Ji-chang met Se-kyung, he was determined to form a band. He promised to have a performance just for Se-kyung. However, after Se-kyung saw Ji-chang's hand, she immediately agreed. But Se-kyung also gave a condition. If Ji-chang did not keep his promise, he would never appear in front of her again. Ji-chang immediately replied that if he could do it, Se-kyung would have to give him a chance to be her boyfriend. Se-kyung asked Ji-chang to form a new band. She decided on the solo song. This song happened to be the song Eun-jeol was learning. At this time, Ji-chang wanted to regroup the disbanded Biwang band, so he promised to introduce the female students to them. However, even as the lead singer, Ji-chang couldn't play a complete song, so he couldn't play the song. Se-kyung suggested. Seeing this, the other members gave up on the spot. Ji-chang quickly stopped them. He promised to find another guitarist, but practicing guitar within a month was impossible. They also said that unless he invited Dong-jin. However, Ji-chang had no idea who Dong-jin was, so he had no choice but to ask Ban-san for help. Ban-san said that Dong-jin was a genius guitarist in his second year at Chuncheon University. He was so talented that he wrote songs for famous singers when he was only 13 years old. Ban-san also said that he was the one who taught guitar to Dong-jin. When Ji-chang heard this, he immediately asked Ban-san to contact Dong-jin. But when Ban-san picked up the phone and dialed a random number, the other end of the line started cursing non-stop. However, Ban-san calmly pretended to talk. He also lied that Dong-jin had gone to the mountains to write music, and now he couldn't be contacted. Ma-ju thought of a way to post on the music group's forum, because many musicians were using it. Dong-jin might also come here. Now they had no choice but to take a risk like this. Ji-chang wrote a very touching post. He even offered an attractive offer, which was to provide accommodation and 3 meals a day. Unexpectedly, Dong-jin saw it and immediately agreed. The two agreed to hold the newspaper and meet at the bookstore. But at this moment, Dong-jin had a stomachache. While he was rushing to find the restroom, he bumped into Eun-geol, who had just traveled through time. The newspaper fell into Eun-jeol's hands again. Ji-chang then mistakenly thought that Eun-jeol was Dong-jin. However, Eun-jeol suddenly hugged Ji-chang and called him dad. Everything was true, but the only difference was that Eun-jeol's dad could talk. He wasn't deaf by birth. Ji-chang was scared by Eun-jeol's excitement. He screamed and ran away. But when Ji-chang came to his senses, he suddenly remembered that he needed Dong-jin to join the band. After a while of questioning, Ji-chang reluctantly believed Eun-jeol, but the members of the band weren't so easily fooled. Last year, they attended the Chuncheon University festival and met Dong-jin, so they exposed Eun-jeol's lies. They even beat Ji-chang up. Only then did Eun-jeol know that Ji-chang wanted to form a band because of flirting with girls. Ji-chang felt that Eun-jeol had deceived him. The two of them started to curse at each other. At the same time, Se-kyung came to return the shirt to Chung-ae. After contacting her, Se-kyung discovered that although Chung-ae couldn't hear, she really liked music. At this time, Chung-ae asked Se-kyung a question. Do you like Ji-chang? Chung-ae drew a picture of Ji-chang and Se-kyung talking at the school gate. Sekyung immediately denied it. Chung-a seemed very happy when she heard this. At this moment, someone came to inform that the homeroom teacher was looking for Chung-a. It turned out that Mi-ra saw that Chung-a was deaf, so Mi-ra copied her picture to enter the contest. She even slandered Chung-a. Suddenly, Chung-a stood up and picked up the box cutter next to her. First, she used the knife to cut her picture. Then, Chung-a went straight to Mi-ra. Then Chung-a tore up her picture. The two of them started fighting, but Chung-a didn't show any emotion. On the other side, Eun-jil was still blaming his father for being unfaithful. He didn't know how to get back to 2023. First, Eun-jil returned to the musical instrument store, but now it was a bookstore. The bookstore owner said that he had lived here for more than 10 years, and he had never heard of such a musical instrument store. Eun-jil then remembered that before he left the musical instrument store, the owner had given him a receipt. There was the phone number of the store on it. However, when Eun-jil dialed the number, the phone number did not exist. The cash Eun-jil had could not be used in 1995, so he could only endure his hunger silently. At the same time, Ji-chang was still angry that he had been deceived by Eun-jil. But when Ji-chang's grandmother asked about the customer from Chuncheon, he suddenly remembered. After all, Eun-gil had come from far away. Ji-chang wondered if he was hungry, because when the two were about to catch the bus, Eun-gil said that he lost the fare. At this time, Eun-gil found some coins of the 1995 in his pocket. He reluctantly bought a bowl of noodles to relieve his hunger, but now he didn't know where to go. He suddenly remembered that he could go find his mother. However, he realized that other than his mother's name, he didn't know which school she went to. He also didn't know where his mother lived. He also didn't know about her relatives. He always thought that he knew his parents very well, but now he realized that he didn't know anything about them. Perhaps at some point, children will stop being curious about their parents. At this time, Eun-jil and many homeless people were under the bridge. He finally realized that he had always put his own problems first. Eun-jil always felt that his problems were the most serious. In fact, his father was not born deaf. His mother was not an orphan. Eun-jil also didn't know that there was a period when they were called by a different name, but he only called them Mom and Dad. Eun-jil didn't know any of this. Suddenly, Eun-jil was awakened by the ringing of a phone. The homeless people didn't seem to hear it. Eun-jil followed the sound and found a glowing phone booth. The caller was the shop owner. The shop owner told Eun-jil why he came here and how he would leave, but he had to find out for himself, and he didn't get any hints. After saying that, the shop owner hung up. Eun-jil slowly fell asleep in despair. The next day when Eun-jil woke up, he found himself holding a shoe. There were many people around. What happened last night felt like a dream, but it was very real. Meanwhile, Dongjin thought he was tricked, so he posted online that Ji-chang was a scammer. Dongjin asked everyone not to join his band, but Ji-chang wasn't someone who gave up easily. He wanted to find Sekyung to explain everything. At the same time, Cheona opened her locker and discovered that her paintings and clothes were torn by someone. Because Sekyung's school forbade outsiders from entering, Ji-chang had to borrow Junenju's uniform and sneak into the school. Unfortunately, he was discovered by the gym teacher. The two of them started a 5-minute chase. Finally, Ji-chang hid in the equipment room in the basement. When he returned, he was shocked because he saw Chung-ah with a face full of wounds. At this time, Eun-jil was waiting outside the school gate for Ji-chang, but he coincidentally met Se-kyung, who had just finished school. Suddenly, In-gyul realized that she was his teacher's daughter. Then he went up and called her Miss. Se-kyung found it a bit interesting. This was the first time someone called Se-kyung Miss in order to start a conversation. Therefore, she firmly refused him. At the same time, Ji-chang asked Chung-a not to say anything. He also took the initiative to introduce himself, but Ji-chang didn't know that the girl in front of him was deaf. The scene at that time was extremely embarrassing. Suddenly, Ji-chang saw blood on Chung-a's head. He even tried to use his tie to wipe it off for her. This action reminded her of the past. Unconsciously, Chung-a rushed forward and bit Ji-chang's hand. Ji-chang's scream was heard by the gym teacher. The teacher immediately ran to the door, but when the gym teacher opened the door, Chung-a and Ji-chang had already escaped through the side door. Ji-chang grabbed Chung-a's hand tightly. The two of them ran away. Ji-chang's handsome appearance attracted her. She didn't know how long they ran, but they finally escaped the chase. Ji-chang had guessed that Chung-a was locked in the equipment room by someone else, so he told her to ask for help. If Chung-a didn't say anything, no one would know. Today, the two of them could be considered fated to meet each other. If Chung-a needs help in the future, she just needs to signal for help. After Ji-chang finished speaking, he handed Chung-a a piece of paper and left. That piece of paper was a recruitment poster roster for a band. At this moment, Eun-jeol still couldn't contain his curiosity. He ran over to ask Se-kyung about her father. Eun-jeol also said that he was her father's student, but when she heard that he was learning guitar, her expression immediately changed. It turned out that many years ago, Se-kyung's father had given her to her current adoptive parents. Since then, Kyung had become a substitute for their deceased daughter. That day, her adoptive mother suddenly realized that Se-kyung was completely unable to replace Hana, her deceased daughter. Se-kyung was heartbroken when she learned the truth, but she was still determined to gain her adoptive mother's trust, so she took the initiative to ask to practice on Hana's favorite cello. Many years later, Se-kyung had actually done it. At this time, Ji-chang happened to see the two of them. Se-kyung also thought that Ji-chang and Eun-jeol were in the same group, so she left angrily. After Se-kyung returned home, she received news from her adoptive mother that her adoptive father would go to America to find a stable job, so Se-kyung's whole family had to prepare for the trip. Se-kyung agreed without hesitation. For her, nothing was more important than making her adoptive mother happy. On the other side, Eun-jeol mistakenly thought that Se-kyung's first love was his father, so Eun-jeol tried to convince Ji-chang to give up. Ji-chang was very angry when he heard that. He grabbed Eun-jeol's collar and asked why Eun-jeol did that. He said he was Ji-chang's son, but Ji-chang didn't want to see Eun-jeol anymore, so the two of them started chasing each other. Only when they reached their grandmother's house did Ji-chang stop. Eun-jeol followed Ji-chang into the yard. He happened to see her chasing her father. The reason was that in a class of 57 people, Ji-chang ranked 53rd. This made his grandmother very angry. She even chased them both out. At this moment, Ji-chang's attitude towards Eun-jeol immediately changed. Ji-chang lied to grandma and said that Eun-jeol was a tutor in Chuncheon. Grandma naturally didn't believe him. She even said that Eun-jeol was a fake, but their performance was too realistic. However, grandma still had some doubts. Finally, after Eun-jeol passed the 10-question math test, grandma believed that he was the real tutor. To welcome Eun-jeol, grandma even held a barbecue party. To treat him, grandma was so happy that she personally performed a song that night. It was the first time Eun-jeol saw his father singing with grandma. Grandma passed away when he was little. When Eun-jeol was little, grandma checked to see if he responded to sounds every day. Only when Eun-jeol could speak more clearly did grandma rest assured and pass away. Eun-jeol had no idea that his father was so humorous and talkative at the age of 18. Eun-jeol could not imagine how heartbroken she would be when she saw her grandson become deaf. So what happened that caused Ji-chang to lose his voice? That night, Eun-jeol got drunk. His great-grandmother arranged for him to sleep in the same room as Ji-chang. In his dream, Eun-jeol went back to the day he and his father and brother were taking a bath. He discovered a scar on the back of his father's neck, but everything gradually became blurry. In the end, Eun-jeol could not hear anything anymore. Eun-jeol and Ji-chang were indeed father and son. Even their sleeping positions were exactly the same. Early the next morning, after the chairman learned that Se-kyung was going abroad, the chairman hoped that she could keep this a secret for now, because art students are very sensitive. Moreover, it was now the last year of high school. This was the most important time for students, so the chairman did not want other students to be jealous of Se-kyung. She also told Se-kyung not to care too much about others, because it might hurt other people's self-esteem, especially Chong-ae. Pity only makes her weak. After Se-kyung left the office, she happened to see Chong-ae outside the door. It turned out that Chong-ae was afraid that the chairman was looking for Se-kyung because of Ji-chang barging into the school. Se-kyung immediately explained that they were only talking about her going abroad. Se-kyung also mentioned that in the notebook there was a ticket to the Miung University Band's concert. Chong-ae also agreed to go there at 8 o'clock tonight. Just as Eun-jeol woke up, he suddenly heard the phone ring. Eun-jeol thought it was Mar, the shop owner, calling, but he didn't expect to hear his father's voice. Ji-chang forgot to bring his gym clothes, so he asked Eun-jeol to bring them to school. On the way, Eun-jeol happened to walk into the practice room of his old band. He suddenly saw the guitar. It was exactly the same as the one he used to play when he was a child. Eun-jeol played a piece of music spontaneously. This scene was accidentally seen by Hyun-ju, who was sleeping. At the same time, Ji-chang and Ma-ju also heard the sound of the piano. Both of them hurriedly ran to the practice room, but the piano player had already left. Hyun-ju told them that the person was not a student in the school. They might still be able to catch up now. While Ji-chang was rushing to catch up, he happened to see Eun-jeol walking towards him. Eun-jeol immediately pulled Ji-chang back to school. He even followed Ji-chang throughout the class. On the other side, Chong-ae was remembering the scene where she and Ji-chang met. He was like a prince in a fairy tale. He used his body to shield her from the pile of books that fell. Chong-ae looked at the concert ticket in her hand and imagined Ji-chang being sad after Se-kyung went abroad. So Chong-ae came up with a bold decision. After school, school, Ji-chang said he had to go to work part-time, and he also made it clear that he didn't want to go to college. At this time, the store manager gave Ji-chang an envelope. A girl had sent it to him. The content of the letter was very strange. Se-kyung had proactively invited Ji-chang to see a performance at school, and there was a ticket inside, so Ji-chang immediately asked for a day off from work today. Then he hurried to the meeting place. Before the show started, Se-kyung always stood there waiting, but the person she was waiting for never showed up. When Ji-chang arrived at the show, the audience was leaving one by one. Ji-chang shouted Se-kyung's name. He also explained that he was late because he received the invitation ticket late. However, Se-kyung was extremely angry and said that she had never invited him. Before Ji-chang could explain, Se-kyung said that he had formed a band because he wanted to please girls. Then Eunjul appeared and lied that he was the guitarist in Ji-chang's band. Se-kyung of course did not believe it. At this moment, the band's lead singer, Jiwon, invited Jeol to perform. The song was The Boy in Yellow. The audience who were about to leave stopped because they were attracted to Eunjul's guitar. Ji-chang's resonant voice attracted everyone. Everyone started to get excited. However, Se-kyung just shook her head and left. Eunjul never thought that he would be able to stand on stage with his father. After the performance, Ji-chang invited Eunjul to join his band, but Eunjul did not understand why his father still decided to form a band. It turned out that Ji-chang decided to go to work after graduating from high school. After he saved enough money, he would reopen the restaurant that his grandmother had sold. This was also Ji-chang's last memory of his school days, so he did not want to leave any regrets. While the two were talking, Ji-chang saw a child about to run out into the street. In a daze, Eun-gil remembered what his father had said, that the scar on the back of his neck was from a serious accident in 11th grade. Eun-gil immediately checked Ji-chang's neck, but he couldn't find the scar. It seemed like the accident his father mentioned hadn't happened yet, so Eun-gil secretly decided to prevent the accident. Maybe that could change his father's fate. However, from Ji-chang's perspective, he only saw Eun-gil's eyes burning. It was like a fire was burning in them. Moreover, Eun-gil said that he would protect Ji-chang. That made Ji-chang misunderstand that Eun-gil had feelings for him. At night, when the two of them went to sleep, there was a barrier between them. Eun-gil was sure that the accident would happen this year, but he didn't know the exact date, so Eun-gil decided to follow his father closely. But Ji-chang was always afraid of Eun-gil's actions, so he refused to discuss anything. Eun-gil said that he would give Ji-chang the best band. Ji-chang was happy when he heard this, but Eun-gil has a condition that Ji-chang is not allowed to leave Eun-gil's sight for the next year. Eun-gil believes that the reason he returned to the 1995 is to change his father's future. Early the next morning, Se-kyung and her adoptive mother are preparing to board a plane to go abroad. This time, she will probably not return to Korea. At the same time, the schoolyard suddenly becomes chaotic. Hyun-jun is fighting a stranger. That person is Eun-jul. It turns out that on the day Eun-jul came to school, Hyun-jun was very impressed with his way of playing the guitar. Eun-jul suggested to Hyun-jun that he convince the members to join Ji-chang's band, but Hyun-jun did not appreciate Ji-chang, so Eun-jul took on the solo battle challenge. The result was very clear. Hyun-jun lost with conviction. In no time, Ji-chang received the homeroom teacher's signature. He then founded a club called the First Love Memory Operating Team. Here is a brief introduction of the members. Si-guk, nicknamed Man-guk, has the face of a Hong Kong gambler, but he is actually just a drummer and is very obedient. This person is Se-baeon, nicknamed Suzy. He majored in classical piano. Suzy studied abroad in Germany since she was 13 years old but failed. The reason for the failure was stage fright. Only Suzy needs to make a mistake or be nervous for him to sweat. These two geniuses are like Hyunju. They do not approve of Ji-chang becoming a representative. After the three of them discussed together, they decided to give Ji-chang a test. First, he must learn a musical instrument. Second, he needs to pass at least 3 high notes. But Ji-chang felt that completing these 2 tasks in 3 days was impossible. Eun-gil decided to teach Ji-chang from the beginning, but the condition was that he must go to university, because that was his grandmother's wish. It turned out that a few days ago, she had given Eun-gil a wad of cash. She wanted to thank him for tutoring her nephew. Ji-chan being successful was her only wish. There were some things in the family that were hard to say. Ji-chang had lost both his parents when he was young. At first, Ji-chang's academic performance was very good, but after he became sensible, he learned that she worked very hard to earn money. Ji-chang was determined to only care about earning money, so he neglected his studies. She also knew in her heart that he was a filial person. She had been the landlord of this inn for decades. She had washed clothes and cooked for many students. There had never been a bachelor's cap that she had not worn. Her only wish was to see Ji-chang wear his graduation cap. Ji-chang was a little curious after hearing this. He didn't understand understand why Eunjil was so good to him. Eunjil had helped Ji Chang regain face in front of Sekyung. Moreover, Eunjil also saved his life. Eunjil even helped Ji Chang form a band. Now Eunjil also teaches Ji Chang guitar in lessons. Eunjil had to say that in his previous life, Ji Chang had saved him many times, once in a fire, once in the water. It turned out that when Eunjil was little, he accidentally fell into the water, but his parents did not hear his cries for help. After a while, Eunjil fainted. He gradually sank into the water. At that time, he almost gave up calling for help. At that moment, Eunjil's father jumped into the water and took him into his arms. In his daze, Eunjil noticed the scar on his father's neck. After this, his mother, afraid that the same thing would happen, tied her hands to her sons. Eunjil felt very curious because his father clearly could not hear. But how did his father know that he fell into the water? His father then told him a story. The mermaid gave the witch her voice in exchange for legs. When Eunjil's father lost his voice, he also got his third eye in return. So no matter where the children are, the father can see clearly. The scar on his neck is proof. Eunjil put his hand on Ji Chang's hand. This made Ji Chang misunderstand again. He immediately turned around and ran away. Ji Chang's grandmother and everyone found out that Ji Chang was studying very hard. She was so happy that she couldn't speak. The next day, when Eunjil and Maju took the bus to school, they accidentally heard that Sekyung had gone abroad to study. Both of them felt nervous, because they knew very well that if Ji Chang knew about this, not only would he not want to study anymore, but he would also disband his newly formed band. Therefore, the two of them decided to pretend that they didn't know anything. Sure enough, Ji Chang learned very quickly. He finished all his homework, but in fact it was because Ji Chang wanted Eunjil to teach him how to play the guitar. At dinner that night, Ji Chang said he wanted to see Sekyung. When Eunjil heard this, he immediately scolded Ji Chang, because Ji Chang had promised before that he wouldn't appear in front of Sekyung before the anniversary. A man must do what he says. Maju, who was by his side, also said that if Ji Chang wanted to fall in love, he had to keep his dignity. He had to appear gloriously. Only then would Sekyung have an impression of him. Ji Chang saw that both of them were right, so he gave up the idea of meeting Sekyung. In fact, Eunjil knew that Sekyung would never come back this time, because in 2023, Sekyung herself told Eunjil that she had gone to America to study since 11th grade, and had been there all this time. However, there was a change in plans. Not long after, Sekyung returned to Korea alone. Eunjil suddenly woke up from a nightmare. When Eunjil woke up, he saw Ji Chang practicing guitar in the yard, but he didn't play very well. Eunjil immediately took steps to guide Ji Chang. Eunjil told Ji Chang that if he started a conversation sincerely, the music would respond sincerely. It was like using sign language to communicate. What matters is not skills, but sincerity. Early the next morning, Ji Chang said that he had found a part-time job for Eunjil. They would go there together after school. In the morning, when Ji Chang went to class, he heard his friends talking and learned that Sekyung had gone to study abroad in the US. At the same time, Sekyung no longer wanted to follow her foster mother's words. She cut her long hair. She also tried many dishes that she had not eaten before. Sekyung now looked like a completely transformed person. At this time, when Eunjil was on his way to the store to work part-time, he happened to see a musical instrument store called White Knight. This name made him a little curious. Suddenly, the store owner signaled Eunjil to go inside. In fact, the store owner was Sekyung's father. But before the two could talk much, Eunjil suddenly saw Sekyung passing by. Seeing this, he immediately chased after her. It turns out, Sekyung sells her clothes for very cheap prices. Perhaps, she was throwing away everything in her previous life. Eunjil went to Sekyung's stall. He didn't understand why she came back. But before the two could finish talking, the security team suddenly arrived. Sekyung told Eunjil that if she wanted to know why she came back, he should help her clean up her things first. After Sekyung finished speaking, she ran away without looking back. At this time, Ji Chang was sitting in the practice room playing the guitar. He sadly remembered his unfinished first love. 30 minutes later, Eunjil and Sekyung met at the park. He felt that she shouldn't have given Ji Chang hope in the first place. Now that Ji Chang was practicing so hard, why did Sekyung leave without saying a word? Unexpectedly, she felt that Eunjil was right. So Sekyung also felt guilty. Sekyung even thought about apologizing directly, but Eunjil stopped her. Sekyung said that she came back to Korea to find death. After Sekyung went abroad, she discovered that her adoptive father had another woman. Sekyung's adoptive mother was like a time bomb. She would soon drown herself in alcohol. Then she would obsess over everything about Sekyung. Her adoptive mother would force her to live like a doll by her side. But Sekyung said that something had happened. This made her feel interesting, so she was thinking about whether to live a little longer or not. Ji Chang went to work part-time at the store after school. He happened to pass by Chong-A. The store owner told Ji Chang that the girl just now was the one who sent him the letter last time. time. Ji Chang heard that and immediately chased after her. He thought she was teasing him. He thought that because of her, he had lost face. But no matter what Ji Chang asked, Chang'e did not respond. In the end, she got scared and turned around to run away. Just then, a car came. Ji Chang immediately ran over and grabbed Chang'e's hand, but she still did not say anything. When Ji Chang returned to the store, he was angry because he thought Chang'e looked down on him, but the store owner said that Chang'e couldn't hear. It suddenly started to rain outside. Chang'e's mood was like the weather. Her tears mixed with the rain. Ji Chang felt that he had gone a bit too far, so he was about to go out and apologize to Chang'e. But as soon as Ji Chang went out, he met Se-kyung at the door. At the same time, In-jeol was curious because Se-kyung said she wouldn't come back. So what was the incident she was talking about? Suddenly, Un-jeol remembered that his parents met for the first time in a sign language class. His father took this class after losing his hearing. If Un-jeol had prevented the accident now, his father wouldn't have met his mother, and Un-jeol and Un-ho wouldn't have been born. So, Un-jeol decided to let his parents meet as soon as possible. On the way, Un-jeol happened to see Chang'e crying. He gently handed her the umbrella in his hand. At first, Chang'e intended to throw the umbrella away, but she was touched by the words on it. At this time, Chang'e decided to confess her feelings to Ji Chang. However, when Un-jeol and Chang'e arrived, they saw that Ji Chang and Se-kyung had met. On the umbrella, it was written, "If life gives you a lemon, then you make lemonade out of it." Chang'e hurriedly left. Ji Chang saw this and immediately chased after her. Un-jeol asked Se-kyung why she suddenly appeared here. Se-kyung admitted that she came here because of Un-jeol. In other words, because Un-jeol is the one who can change everything. At this time, Ji Chang still hadn't apologized to Chang'e, but he happened to pick up the watermelon keychain that she dropped. A while later, Ji Chang ran back and chatted happily with Se-kyung. She felt that she had ignored him before, so from now on, she would get to know him more. The previous bet still stood. This gave his heart hope again. He was completely immersed in Se-kyung's words. However, Un-jeol was troubled because Se-kyung's attitude towards Ji Chang suddenly changed. She was completely different from the Se-kyung Un-jeol met in 2023. Un-jeol remembered that she had said that she had come back here to find death. Could it be that Se-kyung really wanted to end her life? So, Un-jeol went to Se-kyung's house. Un-jeol and Ji Chang had been here before. However, after Se-kyung met Un-jeol, she wondered how he knew that her family lived here. Un-jeol had no time to talk. When Un-jeol saw that Se-kyung had no intention of dying, he warned her that from now on, she was not to appear in front of Ji Chang again. But Un-jeol had no idea that Se-kyung actually had the intention of doing something stupid. The next day, after band practice, they found the school gate very crowded. Her classmates surrounded a girl wearing a motorcycle helmet. This person was Se-kyung. Since Se-kyung heard that Ji Chang was practicing, she came here specially to cheer him on. Se-kyung also brought some amusement park tickets. Un-jeol had no intention of attending, but when he heard that Ji Chang agreed to go, he immediately changed his mind. However, the group played for a whole day without any accidents. However, Un-jeol always protected Ji Chang in every way. Se-kyung felt confused about this. However, Un-jeol asked Se-kyung to stop teasing Ji Chang's feelings because his partner was someone else. It was a woman who loved Ji Chang very much, but Un-jeol's hesitant appearance made Se-kyung misunderstand. She thought that he was in love with Ji Chang. Se-kyung happily expressed that she was very open-minded, so she wouldn't tell anyone. But the condition was that the two of them had to compete fairly. At this time, Ji Chang accidentally slipped and fell. Un-jeol immediately rushed to help him. Ji Chang was really fed up with Un-jeol's protectiveness. He wanted to make it clear to Un-jeol that he didn't understand why Un-jeol was so nice to him. Ji Chang even felt scared. When Un-jeol heard this, he became angry too. He didn't understand why Ji Chang couldn't listen to him. This wouldn't last forever. Ji Chang only needed to be in Un-jeol's sight for a year. But in the perception of his friends, Un-jeol's words had turned into a confession. Even if they had 10 mouths, they still couldn't explain it. After Un-jeol left the park, he decided to talk to Se-kyung, but it seemed like he couldn't think of what to say. Un-jeol couldn't explain the relationship between him and Ji Chang. This made Se-kyung think that the person Un-jeol liked was her, so he stopped her from being with Ji Chang. It was undeniable that Un-jeol was attracted to Se-kyung for a moment, but he quickly regained his senses. The next day when the band was about to practice, Ji Chang announced to everyone that they would change the song, because before, it was Se-kyung who intentionally made things difficult for him, but now she said that in the future, Korean songs songs would penetrate the international market, so Ji Chang agreed to change the song. This decision was unanimously agreed by everyone, except for the guitarist, Eun Jil. He thought that the song should not be changed just because of a girl's words, because if she changed her mind, would everyone still follow? Ji Chang calmly admitted that he thought that Sekyung gave up her chance to study in America because of him. So Ji Chang and Eun Jil had different opinions. At this time, Eun Jil decided to leave the band. There were some people who argued with their parents because of playing music, but there were people who forgot their own promises because of sweet words. Eun Jil thought that except for Sekyung, Ji Chang did not care if anyone was hurt or not. Finally, the two had a big argument. That day, Eun Jil moved out of Ji Chang's house. He opened the money package his great-grandmother gave him. There was also a thank you letter inside. But now, Eun Jil couldn't face his father, who didn't understand. Not knowing how much time had passed, the shop owner woke up Eun Jil, who was sleeping. When he was about to leave, the lights suddenly flashed. The phone booth on the side of the road rang. Sure enough, it was the mysterious shop owner calling. Now, Eun Jil just wanted to return to his previous life. He didn't want to deal with his playful father anymore. However, the shop owner said that if Eun Jil returned now, his life would change a lot. It turned out that from the moment Eun Jil arrived in 1995 and started playing Dongjin, all of history had changed. Everyone who met him had also changed. Sekyung's return was one of them. Eun Jil wanted a hint, but the shop owner said, "I've already given you a hint." After the conversation ended, Eun Jil woke up from his dream. He started looking for the shop owner's hints. Eun Jil discovered an advertisement for a music competition. The next day, Eun Jil went to the competition venue. Coincidentally, there was a competition ticket under his feet. It was not Eun Jil's real name. He entered the competition in a daze. At this time, because Chong-a had been in the rain for a long time, she had a fever and almost got pneumonia. Chong-a tiredly left school. While she was walking home in a daze, Ji Chang suddenly appeared and gave her a keychain. Only then did he learn that her name was Chong-a. Ji Chang suddenly remembered that Eun Jil had said that the person he had to like was Chong-a. Before Ji Chang could react, Chong-a fainted. He hurriedly took her to the hospital. At the same time, Eun Jil had just gone on stage and had not yet performed when he was suddenly electrocuted. His whole body immediately lost consciousness. As Sekyung was about to go out, the broken phone booth on the side of the road suddenly rang. It turned out that Sekyung was also a time traveler. She was not Sekyung but Juna. She was Sekyung's daughter. Since she was little, Juna had practiced very hard to please her mother. However, Juna's life was not easy. Every time she participated in a competition and won first place, her mother was very happy. But when Juna only came in second, her mother immediately left. The only time the two of them laughed together was when they were in front of others. As time passed, Juna became more and more like her mother. She even looked like a copy of her mother. The only difference was their names. At that time, her father filed for divorce from her mother. At the same time, people in the countryside reported that the grandfather Juna had never met had passed away. On the day of the funeral, her mother asked Juna if she would choose to be with her mother or her father. She made the worst choice. Finally, when Juna was 18, her parents officially divorced. She and her mother moved back to their house in the countryside. However, the events of the past years did not change Juna's mother. In fact, she controlled Juna even more. Sekyung arranged everything for Juna herself. That day, a high school friend suddenly came to visit her. The memories of her school days that person told made Sekyung's accumulated emotions explode. That night, she drank a lot of alcohol. Then she told her daughter about her first love. From meeting each other to forming a band because of her, from her appearance to her inner personality. However, Juna had had enough. Juna was curious why Sekyung did not marry her first love. That way, she could live a better life. In the end, Juna and her mother had a big fight. Juna planned to go abroad to live with her father, but her father had someone else. In a fit of rage, Juna sat on the side of the road and poured out her feelings. At this moment, the moon in the sky suddenly turned into two. Juna saw that strange musical instrument store, and she officially traveled back to 1995. Juna's original intention was to do something foolish, but Juna thought of a better way. That was to help Sekyung and her first love get together. That way, Juna's life would probably be happier. Suddenly, Juna woke up from her room. She wondered, wasn't her mother's first love Ji Chang? On the other side, Eun Jil was in critical condition because he was struck by lightning. While the doctor was trying his best to save him, he prayed to go back to 2023. At the same time, Chong-a also woke up. Ji Chang immediately apologized to her for what happened earlier, but Chong-a deliberately restrained her emotions because she didn't want to hope anymore. However, Ji Chang asked Chong-a out to eat. During the meal, he told her his home fax number. He told her to contact him if anything happened. At this time, Chong-a's heart suddenly started to beat faster. When Chong-a returned home in the evening, she read Ji Chang's story over and over again. The seeds of love were quietly sprouting in her heart. At this time, Juna thought that her mother's first love was among the 5 members of the band, but from the beginning, she excluded Eunjil. Suddenly, Juna remembered that her mother had mentioned that her first love was very good at eating spicy food, so Juna scheduled a meal with all 5 members of the band. First 3 heard that they were going to eat with the goddess. They all immediately agreed, but after they ate spicy food, as Juna requested, Siguk and Suzy almost had to go to the emergency room. Although Hyunju can eat spicy food, the type of girl he likes is older sisters. This doesn't match Juna's mother's description at all. Contact him if anything happened. Ji Chang and Eungil. After that, Juna asked Ji Chang out to eat. She didn't expect that Ji Chang was not afraid of spicy food, but he also took the initiative to ask for 2 more chili peppers. Although Juna had confirmed that Ji Chang was her mother's first love, she still wanted to check further. Then she asked why Eungil didn't go with him today. Ji Chang immediately replied that Eungil had run away from home. However, Juna hadn't tested Eungil yet, so she was still a little worried. Suddenly, she took out the photo of the day they went out. Juna discovered that in each photo, Eungil was always looking at Ji Chang passionately, but he made others feel strangely fluttered. At this time, Ji Chang came home and saw that the light in the room was still on, so he mistakenly thought Eunjil had returned. But the person in the room was Ban-san. It turned out that Eunjil had asked Ban-san to be the referee for the match. In return, he would help Ban-san make the report. Surprisingly, Ban-san got an A+ in that subject. Ji Chang was furious when he heard that. He felt like Ban-san was making Eungil do his work for him, but in fact, this was Eungil's part-time job at the boarding house. Ever since Ban-san's report got an A+, many university students came to find and hire Eungil. His job was to take attendance or do homework. The reason Eungil worked so hard to earn money was because he wanted to buy a guitar for Ji Chang. Eungil believed that the life of the band was the instrument. He wanted to give Ji Chang the best. Ban-san asked why Eungil helped Ji Chang so much. Eungil said that this might be Ji Chang's last moment of youth. That's why Eungil wanted Ji Chang to shine. Ji Chang felt guilty after hearing that. He sat in front of the door all night, but Eungil still hadn't come back. The next day at practice, the band members also learned that Eungil had run away from home. In order to please Sekyung, they agreed to change the guitarist. Ji Chang was a little angry after hearing that. One of the group members had disappeared, but the rest were not worried. They were just busy looking for a replacement. People even said that Ji Chang had chased Eungil away. Suddenly, Hyunju asked Ji Chang if he had any backup plans. Anyway, Ji Chang had made up his mind, and the guitarist could only be Eunjil. So, he printed out a lot of missing person notices. Then he posted them on the streets. In the afternoon, Ji Chang suddenly received a call. That person said he knew where Eungil was. Then, that person asked Ji Chang to meet under the overpass in the evening. However, when Ji Chang arrived, he discovered that the caller was a gang of thugs. They didn't even know who Eungil was. They just wanted to trick high school students for money. Of course, Ji Chang wouldn't do as they wanted. As a result, he was brutally attacked by thugs. A moment later, Ji Chang passed out and his body was covered in wounds. At this time, Eungil traveled back to 2023. As a result, he found that his mother had turned into another person. This was the price of ending the trip earlier than expected. Eungil really could not accept this fact. Suddenly, he woke up in an empty room. He had once again traveled back to 1995. On the other side, Chung-A was on her way home when she happened to see Ji Chang lying on the ground, gasping for breath. She immediately ran towards him, but since she could not speak, she could only try to wake him up. However, Ji Chang had passed out. After Chung-A discovered that he was bleeding profusely, she was extremely frightened. She immediately ran out to the street to ask passersby for help. Just then, Juna drove by. Chung-A immediately pulled Juna to Ji Chang's place. Juna also immediately called for help from passersby. They quickly received help. It was unknown whether Chung-A felt that she was useless or whether she wanted to help the two of them, but she quietly left. Although at that time, she was very worried about Ji Chang. When Chung-A returned home, Eunjil coincidentally was about to leave as well. After Eunjil saw Chung-A's name on the name tag, he realized that this girl was his mother. Eunjil immediately rushed into the house, despite the security guard's attempt to stop him, but he was knocked unconscious by Junso. Just like that, Eunjil was once again taken to that empty room. Actually, he had just fainted on purpose, because his mother had said before that she had no relatives. At this time, Sana, the principal's daughter, pushed Chung-A down. Then, the watermelon keychain in Chung-A's pocket caught her eye. Ji Chang had picked up this keychain. Chung-A naturally wouldn't give it to anyone else. After that, the two of them started fighting in the hallway. Chung-A's stepmother rushed up to see what was going on. Sana pretended to be wronged and said that that Chong-a had snatched her things. She also said that the keychain was a gift from Sekyung. Unexpectedly, after Chong-a's stepmother heard this, she didn't even give Chong-a a chance to explain. First, she snatched the keychain back from Chong-a's hand. Then, she loudly ordered Chong-a to shut up. Just as the stepmother was about to attack Chong-a, Eun-gil came to stop her. Chong-a's stepmother knew that Eun-gil was the victim of an accident in a competition organized by her son, so she didn't dare to do anything too much. Eun-gil used sign language to ask Chong-a if she was hurt. Chong-a's stepmother said that the use of sign language was forbidden in this house. Eun-gil ignored her words and continued to use sign language to try to communicate with Chong-a. At this point, Chong-a's stepmother felt that talking to Eun-gil properly was useless, so she immediately ordered the security guard to take him to the room. Ji Chang's test results showed no signs of damage. While he was boasting to his friends about his combat experience last night, Junna came to visit him and told him that the person who saved him last night was not her, but a girl named Chong-a. After Junna left the hospital and was threatening Gomer, the shop owner, she accidentally met Eun-gil. Because the two had different experiences, they had some misunderstandings about each other. Eun-jol wanted to prevent Sekyung from becoming his future mother. Junna wanted to quickly find her mother's first love. At this time, Chong-a's father thought that Eun-gil would use family matters to threaten him. Then Eun-gil would ask for some money, but unexpectedly, Eun-gil just wanted to know why he didn't let Chong-a learn sign language. It turned out that he didn't want outsiders to know that Chong-a was deaf. He also asked about Eun-gil's family background. He felt that Eun-gil was a bit pitiful, so Chong-a's father let Eun-gil stay here until he fully recovered. In addition, he would also give a reasonable amount of compensation, but Eun-gil insisted that he did not need compensation. He only wanted to teach Chong-a sign language. This made Chong-a's father a little upset. Eun-gil begged him to do it for the sake of his daughter's happiness. Eun-gil admitted that both his parents were deaf, but they lived very healthy and happy lives because they could communicate with their eyes, hearts, and hands. Chong-a's father did not believe that learning sign language could bring happiness. However, Eun-gil felt that taking away someone's voice was like taking away their world. In the end, Chong-a's father agreed. While Eun-gil was here, he could teach Chong-a sign language. Eun-gil was very happy to hear that. He immediately informed Chong-a of the news. In Chong-a's perception, Eun-gil seems to be a good person, but his expression is very sad. She didn't know what the young man in front of her wanted to express, but she was sure that Eun-gil was different from the others in this family. Suddenly, Eun-gil thought of the sign language his mother taught him when he was young. This made him unable to hold back his tears. Early the next morning, Junna stood in front of the high school gate. She decided to try Eun-gil once, but he was uncooperative, so she could only ask Chong-a. Junna happened to see Eun-gil and Chong-a going to school together. Just when Junna wanted to talk to her, she was stopped by the security guard. A moment later, Junna reported this to Ji Chang. He hurriedly ran back to the gym. He gathered everyone and went to Saiwon High School. On the other side, Eun-gil was teaching sign language to Chong-a. Sana was a little unhappy about this scene, so she immediately told everyone that Eun-gil was an orphan. Eun-gil didn't know how to convince Sana's father, but his company sponsored Eun-gil with a scholarship. At this time, there was a notice calling Eun-gil to the president's office. As soon as Eun-gil went out, he tripped over Junna's foot. Then she led him to the backyard. But before the two could talk, Ji Chang brought his entire band to Saiwon's schoolyard. Then the performance began. Ji Chang asked Eun-gil to return to the band. However, after Eun-gil looked at Chong-a next to him, he agreed to return. But Ji Chang couldn't like Sekyung anymore. Then, Eun-gil said that he liked her too. Ji Chang angrily punched Eun-gil. He didn't understand why Eun-gil did that, but Eun-gil felt angry because everything he did was for Ji Chang's own good. During the struggle, Eun-gil accidentally hit Ji Chang. Seeing this, Chong-a immediately changed her attitude towards Eun-gil. Only then did he react. Hurriedly ran to Ji Chang and kept apologizing, but Ji Chang was still very angry. He and Eun-gil fought in front of dozens of people. No one would give in. At this time, the schoolyard became chaotic. The teachers came to chase Ji Chang and everyone away. Eun-gil pulled Junna along in time. The two of them hurriedly ran away from the scene. On the other side, Ji Chang was stopped by the gym teacher. Chong-a was worried that he wouldn't be able to run in time, so she tripped the teacher. At that moment, Junna and Eun-gil were lucky to escape. She didn't understand why he made a joke about confessing his love. It was obvious that Eun-gil liked Ji Chang. Was it because he was afraid of being discovered that he used Junna as a shield? Unexpectedly, Eun-gil said that he really liked her. At this time, Eun-gil had no other choice, so he lied and said that he fell in love with Junna at first sight. He also complimented her on her beauty. Unexpectedly, Junna believed these words. At that moment, the teacher discovered them. To handle this incident, accident. Chona's stepmother, who was also the principal, decided to punish the two appropriately. In addition, she also asked Juna to return to school, because in Chona's stepmother's eyes, Sekyung is someone who does not regret her youth. In order not to reveal her identity, Juna reluctantly agreed. On the other side, Ji Chang was always sad. Hyunju guessed that he was thinking about Eunjeol, but there was something strange. Eunjeol was clearly scolding Ji Chang, but his eyes were completely worried about Ji Chang. Hyunju also said that if Eunjeol left the band, he would also leave, so Ji Chang had to make a decision quickly. In the afternoon after school, Chong-ae ignored Eungeol. Juna happened to pass by. She forced Eungeol to go somewhere with her, otherwise she would go see Ji Chang. After that, the two went to a spicy restaurant. On the surface, Juna says that she wants Eungeol to prove how much he likes her, but actually, she was testing to see if he could eat spicy food. But when Eunjeol was about to eat, Juna was a little worried. She was afraid that her mother's first love was really him. In the end, she still couldn't test him. When she returned home, Juna was a little depressed. Suddenly, she remembered that her mother's first love had a special feature. At the spring festival, that person sang a song for her mother. That night, Choma chased Eunjeol out of her room. Finally, she left the room angrily. Eunjeol picked up the diary on the floor. It was filled with Chong-ae's love for Ji Chang. Only then did Eunjeol know that her mother had always had a secret crush on her father. The next day, Ji Chang and his friends met Eunjeol at a restaurant. Everyone agreed that neither Eunjeol nor Ji Chang could see Sekyung before the celebration. Both of them temporarily stopped fighting and focused on the band. Eunjeol thought this was a good opportunity. He also said that if that was the case, neither of them would meet Sekyung. Instead, they would decide the winner through a performance on the festival stage. After the two reached an agreement, they went home to visit their grandmother. Ji Chang's grandmother was very happy to see Eunjeol return. That night, she cooked a sumptuous meal. She even deliberately chased Ji Chang out to ask Eunjeol to come back and tutor him, because ever since Ji Chang met Eunjeol, he had quit all his part-time jobs. He even sneaked into the storage room to study. Grandma thought that Ji Chang did that because he wanted to show off in front of Eunjeol. But during the time Eunjeol was gone, Ji Chang's studies got worse. A few days ago, Ji Chang went to Maju's house to study, but he didn't come home. Grandma was afraid that Ji Chang would lose his way like her son. It turned out that Ji Chang's father was addicted to gambling. Every day, he came back to ask for money from his grandmother. Ji Chang's father even fought with his mother. Ji Chang stood outside the door and heard everything. Although he looked calm, he was in turmoil inside. Eunjeol held Ji Chang's grandmother's hand. He said he was going to Chong-ae's house to finish something. Moreover, it was related to Ji Chang. Eunjeol promised that he would come back when everything was over. On the way home, Eunjeol recalled what had happened in the past few days. He realized that history had changed. Eunjeol's parents did not know each other when they were 18. Now they had a connection. That connection was Eunjeol. So Eunjeol decided to remove the external obstacle that was Sekyung. He had to help his parents meet before the festival. Eunjeol had to find out the date of his father's accident. Early the next morning, Eunjeol told Chong-ae that he knew why she was so angry. He would help her. However, as soon as Eunjeol left the classroom, he ran into Juna. However, Eunjeol and Ji Chang had agreed not to meet her secretly, so immediately turned around and ran away. Juna saw this and chased after him. This news quickly reached Ji Chang's ears. He thought that practicing hard was the only way to change the current situation, but due to an accident, practice room was taken back by the homeroom teacher. Fortunately, Hyunju had another great practice location. At this time, Maju informed Eunjeol of the new practice room location. For Eunjeol, this was really good news. He immediately took Chong-ae to the practice room. However, as soon as they entered the door, they saw Juna. Seeing this, Eunjeol pulled Ji Chang out and asked him to explain. When Juna saw Chong-ae about to leave, Juna used sign language to keep her there. Ji Chang and Eunjeol accused each other of not keeping the agreement. Eunjeol wants to nominate Chong-ae as the band's designer. Ji Chang says Sekyung will be the band's photographer. Eunjeol and Ji Chang were unwilling to give in. After a while, the two returned to the practice room. Eunjeol saw Chong-ae sitting alone, so he immediately went over and pulled Juna up. Eunjeol said he wanted to test her skills himself. The others left one by one, leaving Ji Chang and Chong-ae alone in the room. At this time, Ji Chang used sign language to thank Chong-ae for saving his life. He had not yet learned what Ji Chang wanted to say, so he asked to see Chong-ae's paintings. At the same time, Eunjeol drove Juna to a place outside the city. Actually, he wanted to buy time so that his parents could be alone. Coincidentally, the motorbike ran out of gas at this time, so the two of them were stranded in an unfamiliar place. On the other side, Ji Chang was extremely surprised by the paintings drawn by Chong-ae. Suddenly, he saw a portrait of himself. Chong-ae reacted, and she immediately took the painting back. The atmosphere became a little awkward. It was soon Soon Darkyun, Jeol put his coat on Juna and asked her, "Can't you just like me?" Juna didn't answer that question. Instead, she wanted him to sing to her. Eunjeol picked up the guitar and played a song. At this moment, Juna was captivated by the boy in front of her. Eunjeol couldn't take his eyes off Juna either. When he was about to kiss her, he remembered how she looked when she was 40. Eunjeol immediately turned away. Unexpectedly, Juna mistook Eunjeol for being embarrassed. On the contrary, she comforted him. Juna said that unrequited love and first love were equally precious. At this moment, Eunjeol didn't care at all about what Juna was saying. He mustered up the courage to kiss her again. But after this kiss, their relationship changed. Juna told Eunjeol to pretend that nothing had happened. She also said that today was because of everything around her. That's why Eunjeol had dark thoughts. So Juna hoped that the two of them could keep their distance from each other in the future. She hurriedly ran into the house. She didn't want to hear Eunjeol's explanation. Actually, Eunjeol also regretted it. He didn't understand why he did such a thing. He didn't know that he loved Juna. On the other side, after Ji Chang saw Chong-ae's picture, he guessed that she liked him. A while after Eunjeol got home, Chong-ae hurriedly pulled him into the room. It turned out that she still didn't understand sign language. She wanted to ask what Ji Chang's sign language meant. After Eunjeol learned that Ji Chang expressed his apology in sign language, he felt that his parents' relationship had changed. Thanks to this, Chong-ae started to take an interest in sign language. She wanted to study hard so that she could have more friends in the future. Of course, Eunjeol was very willing to help because his sign language was also taught by his mother. Early the next morning, Eunjeol asked Chong-ae's father to buy her a transmitter. The transmitter would become a bridge between her and the world. In return, he would see his daughter's happy smile. He took out the photo from the book. It had been a long time since he had seen his daughter's smile. That scene was accidentally seen by Chong-ae's stepmother. The next day, she invited Eunjeol to the office and warned him not to teach sign language to Chong-ae anymore. Chong-ae's stepmother said that she had her own way of educating her. She did so to raise Chong-ae as a normal child. However, in Eunjeol's opinion, that way of educating her was no different from isolating Chong-ae. She couldn't even communicate with her father. Unexpectedly, Chong-ae's stepmother laughed and said that Chong-ae's father was rarely at home. Eunjeol only had 1 month. Eunjeol loudly asked Chong-ae's stepmother, "Did you abuse Chong-ae while the chairman was away?" But stepmother Chong-ae did not answer. She only increased Eunjeol's punishment. In the next month, he would have to clean the school. The reason stepmother Chong-ae did this was because she wanted to prevent Eunjeol from helping Chong-ae complete his studies. Moreover, she warned Eunjeol to leave home and school as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would have to pay a heavy price. The more Eunjeol thought, the angrier he became. Suddenly, the phone rang. It turned out to be the mysterious store owner calling. This time, he had arranged for an assistant to help Eunjeol. At the same time, Juna's fingers were shaking while playing the cello. She unconsciously recalled her mother's words. "I know it's difficult, but you need to grow up to overcome it." After that, Juna had no choice but to excuse herself to go to the bathroom to go out. Thanks to that, she was able to escape the classroom. On the other side, Eunjeol woke up from her dream. The shop owner didn't tell him who his assistant was, but if Eunjeol wanted that assistant to help, he had to help that person first. Back when Eunjeol kissed Juna, Ji Chang knew Chong-a liked him. Because Ji Chang and Eunjeol both had secrets that couldn't be told, they had agreed to let the two girls join the band. At this time, the other 3 members also arrived. They wanted to thank the shop owner for lending them the practice room together. After that, the group went to Se-kyung's father's shop. He used to be a guitarist who beat domestic bands, but for some unknown reason, he gave up. Later, because of his age, Se-kyung's father couldn't perform regularly anymore, so he opened a musical instrument store. In addition, Se-kyung's father also invited the talented guitarist Dong-jin to guide Ji Chang's band. But as soon as they heard this person's name, Ji Chang, Maju, and Eungeol immediately ran away. Because of the previous impersonation incident, Dong-jin accused them of being a scam band. After the remaining 3 band members learned of the situation, they first confronted Dong-jin and taught Ji Chang's group a lesson. Because offending Dong-jin was like offending the music industry, the band was almost ready to disband. Ji Chang suggested changing the band's name and starting over. Even though there was enough time to rehearse, the band's name had already been registered at the festival, so changing the band's name was out of the question. At this moment, Ji Chang suddenly remembered designer Chong-ai and photographer Se-kyung. People often said that, "Better luck next time." Ji Chang hoped that everyone would come up with a new band name together. At the same time, Juna was taking sedatives and picked up the string next to her. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. It turned out that Eunjeol had won, so he was responsible for informing Juna that she had become the band's photographer. Since everyone wanted to change the band's name, they would go to the practice room on Saturday to discuss. class. Eunjeol was about to leave, but he turned back because he saw that Juna's face was very pale. He was worried that something was wrong with her. On the other side, Ji Chang passed by the bookstore in town because he wanted to be friends with Chung A. He went to buy a book on sign language. Here, Ji Chang coincidentally met Chung A. Juna asked Eunjeol to go with her to Namdaemun to exchange money because it was not safe for a girl to come to this place with so much cash. Eunjeol wondered where Juna got so much money from. She said it was the money she used to sell her guitar. Eunjeol thought she was his assistant, so he immediately asked her which music store she sold her guitar at. But that was when Juna went to see her father in America. Since the location was different, Eunjeol didn't think much of it. That strange boss had even told Juna to go on a trip before she died. Juna thought this was a good idea. There was a place she really wanted to visit. At this time, Chung A and Ji Chang sat down to talk. There was a painter that Chung A really liked. That painter faced pain, but she always showed a strong will. Even though life was constantly tormenting her, she still strongly responded with this painting. It was a painting of a glowing watermelon. On it was written, "Life is eternal." Chung A taught Ji Chang how to express herself in sign language. The two became closer as they studied together. At that time, Eunjeol found Juna crying, alone. He advised her not to think about doing anything foolish anymore. Eunjeol also said that in the future, Sekyung would have a disobedient daughter. Later, she would be very beautiful, elegant, and have her own style. Sekyung would change the fate of a young man, so she should live until the day of her graduation anniversary. Juna did not understand why that day was the day, but Eunjeol only said that he would be very handsome that day. That night, when Chung A returned home, she saw a transmitter on the table. Chung A immediately used it to contact Ji Chang. Her happy smile was seen by her father. The next day, Ji Chang told the story of the artist to the members of the group. He suggested naming the band Watermelon. However, Si-gook felt that this name was not good, so he suggested using an English name. To attract girls, you have to add a little sugar. Thus, the name Watermelon Sugar was officially born. Juna and Choma are also actively helping the band to improve. The two have become real friends. The band is gradually getting on the right path. The love between the four people, Ji Chang and Choma, Juna and Eunjeol, is changing more and more clearly. 2 days before the celebration begins, Juna accidentally discovers that Eunjeol cannot eat spicy food. This also means that he is not her mother's first love. Juna couldn't accept this, so she tried the food herself. However, it was so spicy that even a baby could eat it. Juna didn't understand why she felt disappointed. She obviously came to find her mother's first love, but perhaps over the past few days, she had developed a liking for Eunjeol. On the other side, Maju received a notice that the rehearsal was to start at 3 p.m. tomorrow at the sports center. Maju emphasized that the band only had one chance. He told the members not to be late. Addition, Sekyung's father wanted to congratulate the band, so he prepared a barbecue party. He praised Maju because even though Maju didn't get to go on stage, he had a spirit of silent dedication. Maju had great potential to become a producer, so Sekyung's father encouraged him to start a company in the future. Eunjeol suggested that the company be named MJ. Maju asked Sekyung's father to introduce Dongjin to him. Eunjeol heard this and immediately remembered that in 2023, Dongjin would become an outstanding artist, and Maju was the one who had the greatest contribution. In an interview, Dongjin confided that he was in a band when he was in school, but because a member was seriously injured, the band disbanded. The day of the accident was the day of the stage rehearsal before the school anniversary. Eunjeol realized that the seriously injured member was probably Ji Chang. Eunjeol did not dare to think further. He immediately tried to contact the owner of the restaurant. Eunjeol wanted to know who the assistant was. At tomorrow's rehearsal, would the injured person be his father? However, no one answered the phone. That night, Hyunju felt something was wrong, so he went home before the others. On the way, Hyunju discovered that someone was following him. He unconsciously increased his speed. It turned out that after Eunjeol disappeared, Ji Chang was beaten. At that moment, Hyunju happened to pass by, so he helped the male student who was being bullied. Hyunju taught the thugs a lesson. However, he was injured due to the difference in numbers. Fortunately, Hyunju was very good at fighting. Thanks to that, he was able to save his life. Before Hyunju left, the thug threatened him that Seokjin was about to be released from the reformatory, so Hyunju should be careful when walking at night. It turned out that Hyunju and Seokjin were in the same group before. Later, for unknown reasons, Hyunju chose to leave the group. This made Seokjin always carry a grudge. Hyunju quickly blocked the person who was following him. Hyunju asked what his purpose was. It turned out that this person was the student who was being bullied. Koo just wanted to come to thank Hyunju. Hearing that, Hyunju also let down his guard, but Hyunju did not know that Seokjin was nearby observing him. At the same time, Eunjeol stopped Ji Chang from attending tomorrow's practice, but Ji Chang had been waiting for this day for a long time, so he couldn't give up so easily. Because of this, the two had a fight. Ji-chang still didn't understand why Eun-jeol kept causing trouble. Ever since the band was formed, Ji-chang had always felt that Eun-jeol had bad intentions towards the band. Ji-chang said that he would attend the practice no matter what. After Ji-chang finished speaking, he walked into the house. Eun-jeol felt extremely helpless. He didn't know how to stop his father. Suddenly, he thought he could ask that person for help. A while later, Juna's doorbell rang. After Juna found out that it was Eun-jeol who rang the doorbell, she hurriedly went to her room to put on makeup. Early the next morning, Ji-chang received a call from Juna. She made an excuse that Ji-chang's photos weren't good, so she wanted to ask him to go to a beautiful island to take pictures. This was Ji-chang's chance to be alone with his crush, so of course he wouldn't miss it. Unexpectedly, Juna was looking at the 2 movie tickets and smiling. It turned out that the trip to the deserted island was a lie. Eun-jeol asked Juna to help him. His purpose was to change someone's life. However, Juna gave 2 conditions. First, Eun-jeol had to tell his secret one day. Second, he had to go to the movies with her. At this time, Ji-chan was still waiting for Juna to come, but the person who appeared was Eun-jeol. Eun-jeol said that he had arranged all of this himself. He had to prevent Ji-chang from participating in the rehearsal. The reason Eun-jeol chose this island was because the boat wouldn't arrive until 6 o'clock. Ji-chang was very angry when he found out. Eun-jeol knelt down in front of Ji-chang. He tried to convince Ji-chang to give up. No matter what Ji-chang said, he wouldn't stand up. Now, being stuck on this deserted island was the only way Eun-jeol could think of. Ji-chang couldn't understand. If Eun-jeol couldn't convince him, he should give up. At this point, Eun-jeol confessed everything. He wanted to do his best to prevent the accident from happening, but Ji-chang didn't believe it at all. He even thought it was an excuse made up by Eun-jeol. At this point, Eun-jeol couldn't hold back anymore. He told his family about his life. Eun-jeol felt like he was isolated in another world, but he happened to live in the same time and space as his father, so Eun-jeol wanted to seize this opportunity. However, Ji-chang didn't understand what Eun-jeol was saying at all. He still decided to participate in the performance, even though he couldn't participate in the rehearsal. Eun-jeol threatened Ji-chang that if he couldn't stop Ji-chang, he would jump off. Ji-chang thought Eun-jeol was just joking, but he really jumped. Eun-jeol sank to the bottom of the lake and suddenly remembered what he had asked his father. Eun-jeol's father could not hear. How could his father know that he was about to drown? At this time, Ji-chang rescued Eun-jeol and told him that he had informed Maju that he would not be participating in the rehearsal. When Eun-jeol heard this, he was shocked. Those words moved him to tears. Then he threw himself into Ji-chang's arms. No one knew that Eun-jeol had worked very hard and suffered a lot in order to prevent his father from having an accident. Eun-jeol felt like he was reborn and cried like a child. Ji-chang was a little overwhelmed by this scene, but he still patted Eun-jeol's back to comfort him. Soon, the two of them were on a boat returning to the mainland. Ji-chang kept thinking about Eun-jeol's words that he was from the future. Eun-jeol also said that Ji-chang was his father. However, Ji-chang always thought that Eun-jeol was crazy. On the way home, those words still echoed in Ji-chang's mind. Eun-jeol intended to teach Ji-chang how to play the guitar. However, Ji-chang mocked Eun-jeol. If Si-kyung chose Ji-chang, would Eun-jeol cry again like today? The two of them started joking around. Suddenly, Eun-jeol remembered his movie date with Se-kyung, so he quickly made an excuse to leave. However, Ji-chang was not so lucky. As soon as Ji-chang entered the door, he saw the whole band waiting inside. Ji-chang wondered why they let it go so easily today. When the 4 of them finished listening to the sentence, they were about to rush to beat Ji-chang. Luckily, Ji-chang's grandmother arrived in time. That's why Ji-chang was not beaten by the 4 friends. She told him to give food to a man named Soo-bin. Hyun-ju also wondered if the man named Soo-bin was handsome. In fact, this man was her hometown friend. Since she came to the city, she has been taking care of him like a younger brother. Soo-bin is working as a security guard for the school. When she mentioned the school security guard, the whole group was startled. At the same time, Eun-jeol just arrived at the front door. Juna also just walked out. She was so beautifully made up, she must be looking forward to today's date. Suddenly, Juna smelled a fishy smell on Eun-jeol, but since the movie was about to start, they happily went to the movies together. At this time, Ji-chang's group passed through Soo-bin and they successfully got the key to the inside of the hall. Finally, the band had a chance to practice alone. On the other side, Seok-jin was teaching the students who messed up. It turned out that under Seok-jin's threat, Kang-hoon was in charge of cutting the light strings during the day. But for some reason, Ji-chang's band didn't come today. At this moment, Seok-jin's junior ran over to report that Hyunju's group was rehearsing. Eun-jeol changed into a clean set of clothes. When Juna saw him like this, she immediately thought of the movie, The Squid Game. Eun-jeol was startled to realize that this movie had not been aired in 1995. But before Eun-jeol could think further, Maju suddenly suddenly texted him that the band was in the hall rehearsing. They asked Eunjul to come immediately. Eunjul was very worried when he received this news. He no longer cared about watching the movie with Juna. He quickly ran to school. He thought, are these things gonna happen sooner or later? At the same time, the door to the hall was opened. Seokjin led his subordinates inside. Seokjin wanted Hyunjun to taste the feeling of betrayal. However, Hyunjun was not afraid at all. He only asked them to spare his group of friends. He would bear it all alone. However, Seokjin did not care about that. After he ordered his subordinates to fight, the two groups began to fight. At this time, Eunjil was still running at full speed. Suddenly, a car crashed into him, but with his strong will, Eunjil immediately woke up. However, when he just stood up, his legs had no strength left, so Eunjil fainted on the spot. At the same time, both groups were fighting fiercely. Ji-chang was trying to help everyone. Seeing this, Seokjin took a stick and sneaked up on Ji-chang from behind. He used all his strength to hit Ji-chang's head. Ji-chang heard Eunjil's words ringing in his ears. Only now did he believe those words were true. Just as Seokjin was about to attack again, Eunjil arrived in time. Kang-hun shouted that the police had arrived. After hearing this, Seokjin and his subordinates ran away. Eunjil immediately ran to Ji-chang's side and tried to wake him up. It was already past midnight. That meant Eunjil had successfully prevented his father's accident. After the commotion in the hall, Ji-chang's entire band had skipped school together to avoid trouble. However, no one dared to go home in their current state, so the group decided to go to the bathroom to relax. Suzy was afraid that Seokjin would bring people to ruin the performance again, but Hyunju immediately calmed everyone down. Hyunju knew that Seokjin wouldn't do anything stupid while he was under surveillance. After everyone had finished relaxing, they took a shower to prepare to go home. Ji-chang and Eunjil's actions of wiping their bodies were exactly the same. They even wiped their hair the same way. Ji-chan suddenly realized that Eunjil knew he would get into trouble, so Eunjil ran to the hall. This made Ji-chang curious. Were they really father and son? Eunjil had lied and said that his father didn't let him play music. In anger, he chose to leave home. However, his father found out about the band's rehearsal date. If Eunjil was caught by his father, he would be forced to study abroad immediately, so he had no choice but to lie to Ji-chang. Only then did Eunjil remember that he had left Juna alone last night. He immediately ran to her front gate, but no matter how he called, no one answered. Eunjil could only call and leave a message. He explained the reason why he suddenly left that day. Eunjil said that Juna could punish him however she wanted, but he only asked her to give him a chance to apologize. Eunjil had no idea that Juna hated being abandoned the most. At this time, her heart had undergone great changes. Eunjil kept thinking while returning home. During this time, he had only focused on preventing his father's accident and had forgotten about his mother. Eunjil also forgot that besides Chang-ae, there was also an evil stepmother. Chang-ae's stepmother used the excuse that Eunjil had skipped school and left home to not allow him to enter the house anymore. However, Eunjil insisted that he had informed Chang-ae's father, and he agreed. At this time, Chang-ae's father appeared. He was curious about when his wife had taken over the house. Chang-ae's stepmother thought Eunjil was someone of unknown origin. They had 2 teenage daughters in the house. Who knows what Eunjil might do one day. Chang-ae's stepmother was even very angry because her husband was interested in Chang-ae. He didn't want to talk much with her. Back in the study, Chang-ae's father wanted to cancel the contract with Eunjil. Instead, Chang-ae's father wanted to extend it for another month, but this time, he asked Eunjil to make Chang-ae smile at him. Eunjil happily agreed. He even complimented Chang-ae on how beautiful she looked when she smiled. Of course, Chang-ae's father knew this too, because he saw her happy look when she received her first fax machine. He hadn't seen that smile in a long time. The next day when Eunjil went to school, Juna's attitude towards Eunjil suddenly changed. She completely ignored him and only greeted Chang-ae. Eunjil quickly chased after Juna. He wanted to tell him his long-held secret. Juna had shared with him that her parents were divorced. Because of their daughter, they argued every day. Juna didn't want to follow her parents' wishes anymore. She didn't want to be anyone's tool. Juna mistakenly thought that Eunjil was taking advantage of her. After he had her, he would throw her aside and go find another target. In fact, the target Juna mentioned was Chang-ae. After all, Juna had said that she wouldn't go any further. When Eunjil heard this, he reminded Juna that if she chose Ji-chang, she shouldn't come to the anniversary. The relationship between the two had begun to crack from here. At this moment, Chang-ae was waiting for Juna. Chang-ae wanted to know who Juna would choose today. Juna admitted that her choice was Ji-chang because he was her mother's first love. However, Juna did not see Chang-ae's sad face. A while later, Chang-ae came to Ji-chang to tell him that she had an unexpected tutoring class and had to go. She gave him a gift and then had to go back to school. Afterwards, Chang-ae gave Ji-chang a gift box. The box was filled with with cute guitar picks. Ji-chang didn't think much of it and happily said goodbye to Chong-a. As Chong-a watched Ji-chang leave, tears kept flowing, but in her heart, she secretly wished Ji-chang a successful performance and to get Se-kyung. The much-anticipated celebration was about to begin. No one could have expected that a good student like Se-kyung would skip class to attend. The boys backstage were full of fighting spirit. The audience's enthusiasm was immediately ignited. At this time, Sana told Juna that Eunjul was the one who performed improvisation with the medical school seniors. That senior was Juna's father. At this time, Juna realized that her father also played music. She kept remembering the moments when her parents were together. Her father was also very good at eating spicy food. Finally, Juna confirmed that her mother's first love was her father when she was young. Juna sat on the steps and cried loudly. She regretted the stupid things she had done all this time. At the same time, Ji-chang announced that he had dedicated his last song to a girl. It was that girl who helped the band survive. Everyone present thought that he was talking about Se-kyung, but when the lights came on, everyone could not see Se-kyung. However, the show had to continue. Very quickly, the performance ended. Eunjul could not sit still. In the end, he left without signing his autograph. Ji-chang wanted to follow Eunjul, but he was stopped by everyone. The celebration party was held in the evening. Because the performance was so successful, Ma-ju invited everyone to a sumptuous meal. But Ji-chang was not happy. He angrily said that they had no conscience. Today, Chong-a did not come, and no one knew. That night, Chong-a received many faxes from Ji-chang. He thought that the fax machine was broken. He was also worried that she was sick. Finally, Ji-chang decided to go directly to her house gate to wait. At that time, he really wanted to see her. Chong-a opened the door and saw Ji-chang standing in front of her house gate. Chong-a pretended to go out to see Ji-chang. He did not understand why she did not come to the performance today. He also said that he had been waiting for her. At this time, Chong-a was determined not to contact Ji-chang again, so she deliberately blamed him for inviting a deaf person to the performance. She thought that he wanted to make a fool of her. She asked him if he was using the deaf to pretend to be nice, or if he was trying to show off that he was talented and knew how to play music. Ji-chang took out a sign language book. He looked for signs so he could communicate with Chong-a. She said that his actions disgusted her, but he didn't understand why she always tried her best to help the band and him. She even said that she liked him. She took out her notebook and wrote a paragraph for Ji-chang before leaving in a hurry. At the same time, Eunjul was waiting for Juna to come home. He apologized to her directly, but unexpectedly, Juna also apologized. She also said that she wouldn't see Eunjul again. Juna also hoped that Eunjul wouldn't bother her anymore. She wouldn't choose anyone. He didn't understand why she suddenly changed like that. She said that from now on, they wouldn't see each other again, because after all, they weren't from the same world. Actually, Juna wanted to confirm her mother's first love for herself. Was that person really her father when he was young? At this moment, Ji-chang was reading the note left by Chong-a. The festival is over. From now on, don't come looking for me anymore. After all, we live in two different worlds. Ji-chang touched the guitar pick that Chong-a had made herself. Perhaps he had already made his own decision. Even though Chong-a did so, she was really heartbroken. She burst into tears during the drawing class. At this time, In-gil had already returned home. By chance, he heard Sana talking on the phone. She said that Juna seemed to have turned into a different person. Sana also said that Juna wanted to go to America right now. In-gil remembered what Juna had said to him and her determined look. He felt that something bad was about to happen, so he immediately took a taxi to the airport. At this moment, Juna was dragging her suitcase. She wanted to go back to where she had traveled to in 1995. In order to return to 2023, Juna ignored the staff's objections and ran to the immigration entrance alone. At this time, Un-gil had just arrived at the airport. His goal was the exit, but the last flight had already taken off. At this time, Un-gil thought that Juna had boarded the plane to go abroad. But at this time, Juna was sitting on the side of the road and her whole body was soaked. The person holding the umbrella was Un-gil. Finally, Juna opened her heart. She wanted to go back to ask her parents clearly, but now she couldn't find her way back. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to go back anymore. Un-gil said that he would help Juna, but now she had to stay. Juna held Un-gil's hand and decided to stay with him. At this time, Un-gil finally found someone to help him. Un-gil and Juna took a taxi home. When he helped her carry her luggage, he accidentally saw the transportation certificate. On it was Juna's real name. However, Un-gil did not think much of it. After the two entered the house, Juna slipped and her suitcase fell to the ground. At the same time, her wireless earphone fell as well. Juna was afraid that Un-gil would see the earphone, so she stepped on it with her foot. Although Un-gil did not say anything, he still felt a little suspicious. When Un-gil entered Juna's room, he saw the information she was looking for. flower about her mother's first love on the wall. When Yoonjil wanted to get closer to see more clearly, he accidentally dropped the bottle of medicine. When Yoonjil picked it up and looked at it, he discovered that it was a sedative. However, the strange things did not stop there. Juna suddenly asked Yoonjil if he was Koda, but this word did not appear in 1995. Juna quickly explained that she had heard it from a deaf friend back in America. After that day, the two confirmed their relationship. When Yoonjil returned home, he was surprised to find that the moon in the sky had turned into two. At the same time, the phone in the closet rang. The shop owner announced that Yoonjil's journey was about to end. Soon, when the moon in the sky turned into two, the door connecting the two worlds would open. The only chance to return was that day, but the shop owner had not told Yoonjil the specific time and place. Early the next morning, Juna came to find Ji Chang. She apologized to him for leaving the show early. Ji Chang had known that Juna liked Yoonjil because he often saw her smiling at Yoonjil. Even when the band was performing, Juna had never looked at Ji Chang once. Therefore, Ji Chang guessed that she liked Yoonjil. However, he still wanted to thank her because he had been very happy every day during the past time. Thanks to that, he had an unforgettable memory. When the members of Ji Chang's band arrived at school, they were all called to the principal's office. The members thought that they would be expelled because of the fight in the hall the day before. After a while, Yoonjil heard the news and rushed to the practice room immediately. It turned out that their band had performed very well at the celebration. The principal wanted them to participate in the National Youth Band competition. The principal believed that talented people should show their best on the big stage. It turned out that he had his own goals. He wanted the band to definitely win against Hajong High School. However, the national competition required them to perform self-composed songs, so Ji Chang suggested that the band go camping next week to compose songs. That way, not only could everyone have memories, but they could also cultivate team spirit. Maju spoke up and said that he felt they still needed a designer and photographer, so who would inform Juna and Chong-a. At this time, Yoonjil mustered up the courage to tell Ji Chang, but Ji Chang spoke first. He said that Juna had come and apologized to him first. Ji Chang also told Yoonjil to treat her well. Thus, the awkwardness between the two was resolved. That night, Yoonjil told Chong-a about the band's camping activity. But not only did she refuse to participate, but she also said that from now on, everything would be up to her to decide. Yoonjil did not need to pair her with Ji Chang anymore. At the same time, Ji Chang was writing a letter to Chong-a, but as soon as he sent the letter, he quickly tore it up. There were many unsent letters on the ground. The next day, when Yoonjil was cleaning the swimming pool, he suddenly saw Juna hiding in a corner. After asking, he learned that the principal asked Juna to play the cello in front of everyone, but she refused. At this moment, Yoonjil suddenly did not want to leave this place anymore, so he invited her to skip school together. On the way, Juna asked Yoonjil when he started liking her. Why did he like her? Yoonjil confessed that he had liked her since Juna returned from America. That meant the person Yoonjil liked was always Juna, not Se-kyung. On the other side, Ji Chang met Chong-a on the road. He just silently followed her all the way to the art studio. In the eyes of this silly boy, Chong-a's every move seemed to radiate a brilliant halo. It was soon lunchtime, but no one reminded Chong-a. When she turned around, the room was empty. On the way to eat, a boy suddenly blocked Chong-a's way. He said he wanted to go to the cafe in front with her to chat. He didn't understand why she kept ignoring him. The boy kept forcing her into a corner. He even wanted to hit her. Another male student came up and said that Chong-a was deaf. After the guy found out the truth, he kept insulting Chong-a. Ji Chang ran over and dragged the two of them into an alley. He then taught them a lesson. However, they continued to talk badly about Chong-a. At this point, Ji Chang couldn't stand it anymore, so he ran over and beat them up again. On the other side, Yoonjil returned the sedative to Juna. He wanted to know why she used this medicine. Was it related to playing the cello? It turned out that Se-kyung always forced Juna to do as she wanted. In order to please Se-kyung, Juna joined the club. This place helps create relationships between rich people to support each other. Parents are responsible for bribing the judges. From there, they will get the entrance exam. Just like that, Juna met her first good friend. However, not long after, that friend did something stupid, but Se-kyung did not comfort Juna. On the contrary, Se-kyung reminded Juna not to let others know that she got first place because of her friend's death. Since then, Juna has suffered from a strange illness. She cannot hear any sound. No matter how the doctor examined her, they could not find the cause. Juna had no other choice, so she went to a mental hospital. The doctor prescribed her a sedative. Se-kyung wanted to make up for the failures in her life through her daughter, but all her efforts were in vain. This is Juna's story. At the same time, Ji Chang was taken to the police station for fighting. The other two still refused to admit their guilt. Moreover, Chong-a could not hear what was happening. At this time, Ji Chang was a little confused. lost. Suddenly his grandmother walked into the police station. She said that if Ji Chang did not commit any serious crimes, the police would just give him a warning and release him. After Ji Chang's grandmother mentioned Chan Sik's name, the police officer politely came before her. It turned out that Chan Sik was the police chief. He had been taken care of by Ji Chang's grandmother when he was in college. That was why Chan Sik was so successful now. However, the police had not yet received the notice to release him. Ji Chang's grandmother immediately brought in the sandal seller as a witness. This person had witnessed everything. Now there was a witness. When the two male students heard this, they became less arrogant. They could only admit the truth about teasing Chong-A. After everyone left the police station, Ji Chang's grandmother saw through his thoughts. She immediately invited Chong-A to have dinner together, but Chong-A refused the invitation. When Ji Chang and his grandmother were on their way home, Ji Chang was touched when he learned that she had gone to find a witness for him. However, she confessed that it was all a lie because she believed him. Ji Chang only fights for justice or to save people. Grandma also told him that if Ji Chang likes someone just because of pity, he should give up because living alone in another world is already very lonely and painful. If Ji Chang only hurts people, then he shouldn't let that feeling start. At this moment, Juna was about to take the sedative when she discovered that the bottle was full of candy. At this moment, Juna remembered what Eun-gyeol said, "When your life has a chance to shine, again, I hope that you can shine to your fullest." At this moment, Chong-A was about to write a letter to tell Ji Chang the truth when she suddenly received an urgent notification. Eun-gyeol told her to go to the gym immediately to stop Ji Chang. After Chong-A finished reading the letter, she hurried to the gym. When she got there, she discovered that Ji Chang was the only one there. It turned out that Ji Chang knew that if he called, Chong-A definitely wouldn't come. That's why Ji Chang did so. He picked up the book he had prepared for her to see. It was written that Chong-A was the one who said she liked him. She made his heart flutter, so she had to take responsibility until the end. He also said that on the anniversary day, he planned to sing for her, but she didn't show up that day. So here, Ji Chang decided to sing a song for Chong-A. While he was singing, he forgot how to express the lyrics in sign language. While he was confusedly opening the sign language book, she walked over and hugged him. This was the only way she could express her feelings. The next day, the band members went camping. In the car, Juna told Eun-gyeol that she wanted to live happily for once, therefore, he absolutely must not abandon her again. After a while, Juna stood up and went to the bathroom. Suddenly, Eun-gyeol heard the phone in his pocket ring, but when he looked, there was no signal. He went to the intersection of the two cars to try to catch a signal. Meanwhile, Juna was in the restroom when she also received a call from the shop owner. He informed her that her trip was about to end and she only had one chance to return. If Juna missed this chance, she would be stuck in 1995 forever. However, the shop owner sent an assistant to her. That person was very close to Juna. After the shop owner finished speaking, he immediately hung up. Juna immediately ran out of the restroom to catch a signal. Suddenly, she saw Eun-gyeol on the opposite side doing the same. Both of them realized that the assistant point the shop owner was talking about was the person standing in front of them. At this time, Ji-chan suddenly appeared. In order not to be discovered as people from the future, Eun-gyeol and Juna got off the train before reaching the station. The two officially introduced themselves to each other. Eun-gyeol was Chong-A's son in 2023 and Juna was Se-kyung's daughter. Both of them were shocked when they learned the truth. Eun-gyeol confessed that he had been pursuing Juna all this time to help his parents stay together. The reason was because she suddenly returned to Korea and she was kind to Ji-chang. This made Eun-gyeol feel worried because if his parents couldn't get married, he wouldn't have been born into this world. However, Juna pretended to be her mother and Eun-gyeol mistook her for Se-kyung. Juna went to see Ji-chang because she thought he was her mother's first love. Juna wanted to take this opportunity to set them up because she didn't want to be born. At this time, Ji-chang asked the owner of the musical instrument store to pick up Eun-gyeol and Juna to the campsite. The owner immediately agreed without hesitation. At the same time, Eun-gyeol told Juna that his father was not born deaf. In fact, Ji-chang had a serious accident in high school. However, Eun-gyeol succeeded in preventing the accident. He thought that was the reason why he went back to the past. But now Juna wanted to know why she traveled back to the past. At that moment, a message from the music store owner arrived. On the way, Namdo kept glancing at Juna, but he deliberately avoided her gaze. This made Juna feel a little strange. During the camping trip, Ji-chang was worried that Chong-A would be bored, so he gave her a cat with a mole that looked exactly like him. It turned out that using sign language to say a name was quite complicated because it had to be through the other person's face or personality traits to name it. Ji-chang was curious about Chong-A's name in sign language. He looked at her shyly. It seemed he had forgotten that painful memory. Ji-chang Chang didn't know where he got the courage from, but he kissed Chang-A directly. After this kiss, Ji Chang seemed to become a different person. He suddenly exploded with endless creative inspiration. With the band's tireless efforts, they finally finished the lyrics in just one night. When everything seemed to be going very well, Chang-A's stepmother secretly prepared her plan. On the way home, Ji Chang took Chang-A home, telling her to call him as soon as possible if anyone bullied her. It was clear that Ji Chang had said goodbye, but he couldn't bear to leave. Ji Chang tapped Chang-A's palm a few times. However, this scene was accidentally seen by Chang-A's stepmother. At this time, she was trying to control her anger, but as soon as she entered the house, she slapped Chang-A. She also scolded Chang-A for bringing shame to this family. At this time, Chang-A could no longer bear it. Chang-A bluntly replied that she was the one in power here, and the slaves she paid would have to do as she pleased. However, there was still a world outside, where there were people who would listen and help. Chang-A warned her stepmother that if you dared to hit me again, your name would be all over the newspapers. However, Chang-A's stepmother could not let this go easily. At this moment, Chang-A ran back to her room to write a fax to Ji Chang. She wanted him to take her out of this hellish house, but before the fax could be sent, Chang-A's stepmother came in. This time was like the first time she mistreated Chang-A. She snatched the SOS letter and tore it up right in front of Chang-A. Then, she ordered the servant to drag Chang-A away. However, Chang-A tried to escape. Chang-A's stepmother immediately smashed the fax machine into pieces. Chang-A rushed out of the bedroom like when she was little. She threw herself into her father's arms. Chang-A's stepmother's expression changed immediately when she saw this. When Chang-A was little, she was so scared that she called out for her father. But before her father could react, her stepmother had already pulled her away. Her stepmother glared at Chang-A threateningly while trying to stop Chang-A's father. She told her husband that sympathy and pity wouldn't help. She also promised to train Chang-A to be a genius. Since Chang-A's father wanted her to be able to talk, he reluctantly accepted his wife's actions. But what he didn't know was that Chang-A was always locked in the dark warehouse. She was even tied up. A while later, Eun-jeol returned home. He noticed that the servants were scared and even tried to avoid his eyes. In addition, Chang-A's fax machine was smashed. Eun-jeol immediately realized that something had happened to Chang-A. Eun-jeol pulled a servant over and asked. He even threatened to call the police if the servant refused to tell the truth. When Eun-jeol opened the door of the warehouse, he seemed to see Chang-A from 12 years ago. She had painted all over the walls. This was proof enough that this had happened countless times. The latest painting was of the band Watermelon Sugar. At this moment, Eun-jeol could no longer control his emotions. He hugged Chang-A and cried. He wanted to take her to find her real family. However, Chang-A's stepmother threatened that if Eun-jeol took her away, it would be considered kidnapping. But this time, Chang-A's stepmother underestimated Eun-jeol's determination. He just wanted to take Chang-A away from this hellish place. Eun-jeol said that he would wait for Chang-A's father to come back to talk. If he wants to see his daughter, contact Eun-jeol. He will show Chang-A's stepmother what retribution is. After Eun-jeol finished speaking, he took Chang-A and left. He took her to Ji Chang's house. He also told her everything that she had experienced. After Ji Chang's grandmother heard this, she was very angry. She scolded Chang-A's stepmother as worse than a wild animal. So Ji Chang's grandmother decided that even if she had to sell all the things in the house, she would make sure that Chang-A was well fed and clothed. Ji Chang even wanted to go to Chang-A's stepmother's house to teach her a lesson. He wanted to expose her true nature. However, Ji Chang's grandmother told him that he shouldn't meddle in other people's family matters. Moreover, Chang-A's father wasn't home right now, so even if Ji Chang went there, he wouldn't be able to solve anything. He would even bring trouble upon himself. Ji Chang walked out of the house sadly. Eun-jeol immediately chased after him. It turned out that what Ji Chang hated the most was that Chang-A's father only knew how to make money and didn't care about his family. He was no different from Ji Chang's father. Ji Chang's father went crazy because of gambling, abandoning his parents and children. At this time, Ji Chang's grandmother picked out some clean clothes for Chang-A. She knew that Chang-A had suffered injustice all this time, but when Ji Chang's father grew up, she was still a beautiful child. This was truly wonderful. Ji Chang's grandmother encouraged Chang-A that if Chang-A was bullied or locked in the warehouse again, she should run to Ji Chang's house as soon as possible. If she didn't take this opportunity, Chang-A could move in with her grandmother. It was the first time Chang-A felt the care of a stranger. She could no longer hold back her tears. At this moment, Ji Chang calmed down. When he and Eun-jeol returned home, they saw their grandmother and everyone playing cards with Chang-A. Only then did Eun-jeol understand that his parents also had a painful childhood. They overcame those pains themselves. Then they became the wonderful people they are today. After much investigation, Juna learned that her mother was Nam-do's illegitimate child. Juna wanted to confide this to Eun-jeol, but he had told her about Chung-a's story first, so Juna was still hesitant to tell her story. While the two were talking, Eun-jeol accidentally mentioned his brother Eun-ho. Juna was shocked when she heard this name because her sign language was taught by Eun-ho. It turned out that the girl Eun-ho mentioned earlier was Juna. Suddenly, Juna remembered that Eun-ho had mentioned his father's accident. It did not happen during the school celebration. It turned out that at that time, Ji Chang wanted to save a child crossing the street, so he was hit by a drunk driver. Because of that, his hearing was seriously damaged and he became deaf. In 2023, Eun-ho adapted the accident into a novel and told it to Juna. That was why Juna insisted on telling Eun-geol that the accident did not happen before the school anniversary. At this time, Eun-geol was extremely worried that Ji Chang would hear, so he immediately pulled Juna along and ran away. The time of the accident was tomorrow. At this time, Ji Chang's grandmother had bought a lot of new clothes and personal belongings for Chung-a. Although she did not know how long Chung-a would stay here, she thought that even if Chung-a was only here for a day, she had to make Chung-a's father feel comfortable. In addition, Ji Chang's grandmother also wanted to prepare a soft mattress for Chung-a so that she could have a good night's sleep. However, Chung-a could not hear what she said. This made her grandmother feel a little sad. Seeing this, Ji Chang immediately came up with an idea. He asked the shop owner in town to make him a round wooden board. She would write what she wanted to say on it. Then Chung-a would read it. Thanks to Ji Chang's idea, the two were finally able to communicate with each other. All three of them were smiling happily. Ji Chang and Chung-a were experiencing truly happy moments, but they had no idea that danger was approaching. At this time, Eun-jeol still did not believe his brother's words, because Eun-ho usually liked to joke, but Juna thought that no one would make fun of their parents' pain. Moreover, Eun-ho did not make this story up, he only heard it from his father's friend. It turned out that in 2023, Ma-ju had accidentally met Ji Chang in the poor hospital. However, when Ji Chang met his old friend again, he was not happy at all. On the contrary, he tried to avoid it. Eun-ho asked Ma-ju to go to a coffee shop to talk because he was curious about whether his father could hear or not when he was in high school. After that, Ma-ju told the story of the accident. Based on the existing clues, Juna advised Eun-geol that no matter what happened tomorrow, he had to stay by Ji Chang's side. Juna would guard the scene of the accident because if Eun-jeol lost track of Ji Chang, she could still prevent the scene. Eun-jeol was worried that Juna would be in danger. Juna said that if she felt danger, she would run away immediately. Juna also said that the two moons had not yet appeared. As long as Juna and Eun-jeol were still in 1995, they would definitely be able to prevent the accident. But when Eun-jeol returned home, two policemen suddenly appeared. Someone reported to the police that Eun-jeol had kidnapped Chung-a. This was definitely arranged by Chung-a's stepmother. However, the police car did not go towards the police station. Eun-geol immediately realized that these policemen were fake. It turned out that Chung-a's stepmother had spent a lot of money to hire some thugs. They then faked Eun-jeol kidnapping Chung-a, so he was forced to sign a guarantee paper. Then, they put Eun-jeol on a boat to escape. Because Chung-a's stepmother had already found out that Eun-jeol had no identity or family, she didn't have to worry about the consequences at all. The content of the agreement was too unreasonable. Chung-a's stepmother forced Eun-jeol to admit that he had intentionally approached Chung-a's house. After that, Eun-jeol kidnapped her to extort money, and now he had received the ransom. Even if Eun-jeol died, he would not appear at Chung-a's house. Again, under the threat of the thugs, Eun-jeol reluctantly signed. Chung-a's stepmother held the fake agreement in her hand and smiled. However, her ultimate goal was to make Eun-jeol keep quiet. The plan was progressing very smoothly, but Chung-a's father came home a day early. He ordered the servant to get the key to the warehouse. When Chung-a's stepmother saw this, she immediately stepped forward to stop him. In fact, the warehouse was filled with things, and the walls were covered with wallpaper, but Chung-a's father was still suspicious. He pushed his wife aside. Behind the wallpaper were Chung-a's paintings. She had been drawing them for over 12 years. However, Chung-a's stepmother still blatantly lied that Chung-a had been stubborn since she was little. She often went crazy during class. Whenever Chung-a was upset, she would bite people and throw things. Then she would lock herself in here. The warehouse had become Chung-a's own hideout. Finally, Chung-a's father realized his wife's cruelty. He was angry and cursed the servants who were blinded by money. They had ruined his daughter's soul. After that, Chung-a's father immediately fired all the servants in the house, including Chung-a's stepmother. However, she could not accept it. She declared that she would not leave without a good reason. She believed that her husband did so because he was incited by Eun-geol. She also falsely accused Eun-geol of kidnapping Chung-a for for ransom. However, because the stepmother was concerned about her husband's reputation, she did not dare to call the police. In the end, Eun-gyeol took the money and ran away. But before she could finish her sentence, Eun-gyeol brazenly opened the door and walked in. She was extremely surprised to see him. It turned out that Chong-ae's father had sent a secretary to protect Eun-gyeol. Because the secretary needed to collect more evidence, he came to rescue Eun-gyeol late. Chong-ae's father also stopped pretending. He had collected enough evidence from her for admissions corruption, bribery, and tax evasion. Eun-gyeol also kept his promise. He showed her what it meant to do evil and be punished. At this time, Chong-ae's stepmother lost all her power. After Chong-ae's stepmother's evil deeds were exposed, Eun-gyeol informed Ji-chang to take Chong-a home. On the way, Ji-chang was a little worried. He said that she didn't have to forgive her stepmother. She could come back at any time. Ji-chang and everyone always protected her. However, when Ji-chang turned around to leave, Chong-ae grabbed his hand. After the days they spent together, their feelings had grown stronger. So Ji-chang and Chong-ae went inside the house. She was scared and hid behind him. Before Chong-ae's father could speak, Ji-chang asked to speak to him alone. Ji-chang said that his grandmother didn't understand sign language at all, but she and Chong-ae always talked happily. Then, Ji-chang took out a sign language book. Ji-chang told Chong-ae's father that if he had something to say to his daughter, he just needed to learn how to convey it. There is a famous saying that a father is like a shield that blocks out all storms before his daughter steps out into society. Ji-chang admitted that he did not have such a father, but Ji-chang hoped that Chong-a would have such a father. After Chong-ae's problem was resolved, Eun-gyeol followed Ji-chang home. Ji-chang also advised Eun-gyeol to tell his father that he liked music and did not want to study abroad. This made Eun-gyeol remember the heated argument with his father before. He unconsciously shed tears because at that time, Ji-chang could no longer hear. Without Chong-ae, Ji-chang's grandmother was a little sad. Ji-chang did not understand why she liked a stranger more than her grandson. Actually, how could she hate Ji-chang? Since Ji-chang was young, he had gone through a lot of suffering, but he was still not corrupted, and he never complained. That night, Eun-gyeol was awakened by the sound of a guitar. It turned out that Ji-chang was playing the guitar to compose music. This was the piece of music that the teacher had given Eun-gyeol. He was completely confused. Didn't the band already have a song for the competition? Why does Ji-chang have to compose his own music? Ji-chang shared that after participating in this competition, he will stop his band activities and study hard because he wants his grandmother to wear a graduation cap. This is the song that Ji-chang dedicates to his brilliant youth. Eun-gyeol wants to complete this song with Ji-chang, but Eun-gyeol has two conditions. First, Ji-chang cannot make the song public before entering university. Second, Ji-chang has to stay at home tomorrow. What a surprise! This time, Ji-chang agreed without thinking, because Ji-chang knows that every time Eun-gyeol makes such a request, it is for his own good. Eun-gyeol secretly prays for Ji-chang to always be happy. Eun-gyeol hopes that Ji-chang does not lose his dream and that he continue to shine. The next day, Eun-gyeol stays at home with Ji-chang as planned. Juna went to the scene of the accident in case of an emergency. By chance, she saw the child crossing the street. However, the child disobeyed and ran away. A while later, Eun-gyeol received a phone call informing her that a drunk driver accident had occurred. In other words, Ji-chang had escaped the accident, but at this time, Juna had something to confirm. When Juna arrived in front of the White Knight musical instrument store, she saw Si-kyung coming out from inside. Juna had chased her mother all the way, but unfortunately, she couldn't catch up. That night, Eun-gyeol found Juna. At this time, both of them realized their connection. The owner of the White Knight store was Juna's grandfather. At the same time, he was also Eun-gyeol's first teacher. When they were young, Juna and Eun-gyeol had met once, so Eun-gyeol decided to go see the store owner. At the same time, Ji-chang discovered that his friends were eavesdropping on his new song. Because Ji-chang had agreed with Eun-gyeol that he would keep this song a secret. As a result, the group began to fight over it. Maju quickly grabbed the tape. He then rushed to the White Knight store to listen to it. When Maju was about to go to the White Knight store, Ji-chang chased after him. Coincidentally, Maju's father told him to go home. On the other side, Eun-gyeol was also running to the White Knight store. When he stopped to rest on the side of the road, a car suddenly rushed towards him. But Ji-chang ran over and pushed Eun-gyeol aside, and he was hit by the car. It turned out that after Chong-ae's stepmother lost everything, she put all the blame on her son, Jo-eun. But Jo-eun not only did not regret it, but he also tried to harm Eun-gyeol. After Jo-eun caused the accident, he immediately ran away. Juna happened to remember the license plate number. Right after that, Ji-chang was taken to the hospital. At this time, in addition to being sad, Eun-gyeol also felt that he was blameworthy. If he had been by Ji-chang's side today, the accident would never have happened. Eun-gyeol thought that all of this was his fault. A while later, Ban-san arrived at the hospital. At that moment, the doctor was calling his family to sign the consent form for surgery. After that, Ban-san went to do the procedures again. While unconscious, Ji-chang dreamed that he passed the entrance exam to Seoul National University. The band Watermelon Sugar also achieved good results. Ji-chang kept his promise, which was to put on his grandmother's bachelor's cap. The dream ending was a happy ending, but Ji-chang knew that it was a dream that could not come true. On the other side, Namdo picked up the tape that Ji-chang dropped. By chance, he saw Juna giving clues to the police. The two accidentally saw each other. After listening to Juna's story, Namdo realized that Ji-chang came to give him the tape. Juna asked Namdo to burn the tape because maybe that would end this vicious cycle of unhappiness. However, Namdo mistook Juna for Sekyung. He thought she came back because she had something to say. Actually, Sekyung had returned to Korea. She wanted to ask why her father abandoned her, but she was afraid of facing the truth, so she couldn't say it. At this time, Juna asked on behalf of her mother why Namdo didn't come to find her when he knew his daughter was adopted. It turned out that he saw that his daughter not only lived happily in a rich family but also loved by her adoptive parents, so he couldn't destroy his own child's happiness. Juna confessed that Sekyung had never been happy, but she had to live the life of another child. She had never felt truly happy. Juna hoped that if Namdo met someone with a face like hers and asked the same thing, he would have to answer, "I never abandoned you." He had to tell her that she was not a replacement for anyone, but a daughter born with the love of her parents. After Juna left the musical instrument store on White Night, she decided not to interfere with her mother and grandfather's affairs anymore, because Juna was afraid that she would mess everything up. At that moment, the moon in the sky began to change. The phone rang very quickly nearby. The shop owner announced that tomorrow night the moon would turn into 2. At that time, the door of time and space would open. Juna and Eunjeol's journey had ended, so the two of them should return to where they belonged. But in the current situation, Eunjeol could not leave with peace of mind. But the shop owner said that if Eunjeol did not return, his life in 2023 would disappear. People who did not belong to 1995 might cause a butterfly effect. The shop owner finished speaking and hung up. Suddenly, Eunjeol woke up. Ji-chang's surgery went very well. He would be quickly transferred to a regular ward. That night, Eunjeol sat by Ji-chang's bed. He begged his father to wake up quickly because he was about to return to the real world. Early the next morning, Ji-chang sat on the bed, dazed. No matter how Eunjeol called Ji-chang's name, he did not respond at all. Eunjeol did not dare to believe this. He immediately touched Ji-chang's shoulder, but Ji-chang said that he could not hear any sound. When Eunjeol heard these words, his tears kept falling. At this time, Ji-chang's grandmother heard the news and rushed to the hospital. She was worried about her grandson's condition, but what she was most concerned about was whether Ji-chang could hear. In response to his grandmother's continuous questions, his wrong answer made her guess the result. She did not understand what her kind grandson had done wrong to make him suffer like this. She blamed herself for not taking good care of him, so he had to suffer so much. Eunjeol wanted to find the culprit, but he happened to meet Juna walking towards him. Juna informed Eunjeol that the culprit, Joan, had been arrested. He was Chong-ae's half-brother. At this time, Chong-ae's father was communicating with her using sign language, but when he saw her surprised expression, he looked like a child who had done something wrong. He also thought that his sign language was not good. He quickly opened the sign language book. His serious expression made Chong-ae laugh. After that, Chong-ae and her father decided to go abroad together. On the other side at the police station, Joan still tried to assert that he did not intend to harm anyone, but there were enough witnesses and evidence, so he could not escape the crime. At this time, Chong-ae wrote a fax to Ji-chang to inform that she would go abroad to see an art exhibition with her father. On the contrary, Ji-chang currently felt very helpless. Even though he switched programs and turned up the volume, he still couldn't hear anything. Ji-chang kept pounding on his ears, but he still couldn't change reality. Actually, Chong-ae's father had no intention of letting her return to Korea this time. He had also arranged for her to go to the best school for the hearing impaired. He was also willing to pay for all of Ji-chang's medical expenses and college tuition. At the same time, Chong-ae's father did not assist Joan in her crimes. According to the law, Chong-ae's stepmother was also arrested by the strict prosecution. Juna persuaded Eunjeol to return to the real world together. However, he couldn't abandon his desperate father. The reason Eunho didn't tell Eunjeol the reason for his father's accident was because he was afraid that his younger brother would feel guilty. Juna felt that Ji-chang in 1995 already had relatives. In 2023, Ji-chang, Chong-ae and Eunho are all waiting for Eunjeol. In the end, Juna unilaterally decided that the two would meet in front of her house tonight. That evening, at Juna's house, she was packing her things when she suddenly heard a strange noise. She boldly went upstairs to check. She was surprised to find her mother breaking things, so Juna confessed that she was Sekyung's future daughter. daughter. Juna hoped that Sekyung would tell her adoptive parents that she was not a replacement for their daughter. Sekyung should go ask her biological father why he abandoned her. At the same time, Eun-jeol went to find the owner of the White Knight store. Here, he received Ji Chang's unfinished work. Eun-jeol told Namdo to take care of his health. If in the future he sees a boy crying in front of the store, he should not invite that boy to drink coffee because he likes to drink milk. As Eun-jeol listened to Ji Chang's unfinished work, memories suddenly flooded his mind. Suddenly, Ji Chang's voice rang out from the tape. Ji Chang thanked Eun-jeol. Was thanks to Eun-jeol that he was able to complete this song. Eun-jeol was always there when he needed him. Eun-jeol often said that he was Ji Chang's son, but he felt that Eun-jeol was more like his father. Even though Ji Chang had never received love from his father, he felt that love thanks to Eun-jeol. After Eun-jeol listened to the recording, he cried a lot. He went to Ji Chang's hospital room, but before Eun-jeol could say anything, Ji Chang spoke first. He guessed that Eun-jeol had to leave this place, but he didn't know where Eun-jeol would go: home, study abroad, or the future. Eun-jeol kept apologizing. However, Ji Chang was a little curious. He didn't know what his future would be like. Would he pass the university entrance exam? Would he persevere with his dream? Will you still be able to hear then? Did he fulfill his duty? Did he have a good life? And did Ji Chang make his grandmother sad again? Eun-jeol said that Ji Chang's future wife loved him very much. His children also respected him very much. Ji Chang would also be a great father. However, Ji Chang could not hear these things. Eun-jeol used sign language to say, "You must keep your promise, stay strong through everything, and must become my father." Ji Chang waved his hand to call Eun-jeol to his bedside. Then, Ji Chang hugged Eun-jeol tightly and comforted her that this was just an accident. Although Ji Chang might be depressed for a while, he would not let his life be ruined. So Eun-jeol should rest assured and return to where he belongs. When he no longer has that guilty look on his face, he should come see Ji Chang. Eun-jeol and her father hugged each other and cried. A while later, Eun-jeol arrived at Juna's house but only saw her message. She had left before him and promised to meet again in 28 years. However, when Juna was halfway there, her car suddenly ran out of battery. The moon had also begun to pour. Change. On the other side, Eun-jeol retrieved his guitar. Just as Eun-jeol was about to leave the music store, he suddenly heard his teacher's voice. The shop owner was Eun-jeol's deceased teacher. He was Sekyung's father and the owner of the White Knight music store. Suddenly, Eun-jeol woke up in Chang-ae's house. The future had indeed changed. Eun-jeol's grandfather was in the family photo. Eun-jeol tried to contact Juna, but the phone number did not exist. Even Juna's house was occupied by someone else. In other words, her future had changed. Eun-jeol worries if he is stuck in 1995. Suddenly, two students come in front of Eun-jeol. They ask to pluck 2 strands of his hair as a souvenir. After a while, about 10 people gathered around Eun-jeol. He was so frightened that he quickly got into a nearby car. Inside the car were his band members from 2023. It turned out that they had signed a contract with MJ Company and had become famous stars. Currently, the band was preparing to participate in an event. When Eun-jeol arrived at the event, Eun-ho ran up and patted his shoulder and asked why he was so late. Eun-ho reminded him that he and Eun-jeol had to go greet their father's friends later. At the same time, Chang-ae also arrived at the event. She was now the principal of the high school. It could be seen that Chang-ae's personality had changed a lot. She told Eun-jeol that if he wanted to join the band, he had to study hard. When Chang-ae entered the hall, she happily greeted her friends. They were the members of the band, Watermelon Sugar. In Eun-jeol's mind, they were still as enthusiastic as they were in high school. It turned out that this was the launch event of Jin Sung's new musical instrument. Everyone was curious about the identity of the group's president. Soon after, Ji Chang appeared with a confident smile on his face. He shared his dream of forming a band. Ji Chang not only wanted to conquer the world, but he also wanted to win the hearts of beauties. However, due to an accident, Ji Chang became deaf. At that time, he was truly scared and angry. Because of too much despair, Ji Chang did not even dare to say a word. When he wanted to jump from the high floor, he felt a little regretful. In the end, Ji Chang chose to give up. He had lived in a world with sound for 18 years, so he could still remember those sounds. After that, Ji Chang had to live in a world without sound for 28 years. Because Ji Chang has to live in a quiet environment, he believes he can create the most wonderful sound. After that, Ji Chang played a piece of music. He had practiced it countless times since losing his hearing. After the press conference, Eun-jeol happened to see Ji Chang waiting for him backstage. Eun-jeol thanked Ji Chang for keeping his promise. So far, both of them have kept their promise. Just as Eun-jeol went backstage to prepare for the performance, Ji Chang picked up the tape he dropped. Only then did Ji Chang believe that his son had traveled through time, and Jeol and Juna had their own ending. It turned out that Juna was stuck in the middle. Luckily, a tractor passed by. Thanks to that, she was able to reach the music store store in time. In fact, Junah had guessed that the mysterious owner was her grandfather. Junah thanked him for letting her see her mother when her mother was young. The movie ended here. Thank you for watching the whole video. Goodbye, and see you again in the next exciting episodes on the channel.